at the Palace. And guys, the question is, can the Pistons get hold of the early lead? They have not been able to force the action, and they found themselves playing from behind right from the start.
Well, Marv, I think they would like to see how Cleveland would react if they got down by double digits. That has not happened in 4 games. Look for Detroit to get up the floor and pressure more in the first quarter. They've usually waited until the second half to do that. I think you're going to see more of that to try to force the issue here early in the game.
Yes, in this series, the Pistons have not led by more than 5 points in any game, and the Cavaliers control the opening tip as Hughes is met by Phillips. James gets it down low. They usually go to Ilgauskas for the first shot. Zadruna's facing a double and has to throw it out. Shot clock down to 6, and it's last touched by the Pistons.
You know, it's interesting. That play has not worked a single time through 4 games, but I think Mike Brown just feels like I've got to establish Ilgauskas early. I keep waiting for Ilgauskas to go to the counter move, maybe a little fadeaway to the baseline.
And it was met by the double team. Now Ilgauskas with the shot and hits.
That's the shot he's most comfortable with, that little face-up jump shot. I know you have to throw the ball in the post to try to go to work in there, but he makes a very, very high percentage of that jump shot.
Hamilton and Phillips in the backcourt. Weber, Wallace, Prince up front. Phillips met by James. And here's Phillips for Prince. Rebound comes to Weber. Weber with the running hook. And it's handled by Good.
I think Weber needs to get off to a quick start here, guys, because he has not done a whole lot after the first quarter in this series, as LeBron can't get the floater to go. But Weber will not play a whole lot in the second half unless he has a good first quarter.
Prince with the hustle and able to save it. Phillips is open for 3. Yes.
You know, the offensive rebounding so favored Cleveland coming into this series. Now all of a sudden it's Detroit that's winning the battle of the offensive boards. That time 2 offensive boards got him a 3-point shot.
Ball made away from the ball against the Pistons. It's on Hamilton.
Nothing a shooter likes more than an offensive rebound, because the defense completely scattered. You oftentimes end up with a wide open look like Billups did there.
James backing his way. Hamilton coming over to help. Here's the fade. LeBron James hitting that baseline fadeaway.
That's the shot he's grown comfortable with. We've talked about it throughout this series. Fading away, going over that right shoulder, fading left. It seems to be his comfort level.
Weber gets it down low. Here's Wallace. Rejected by Ilgauskas. Wallace is fouled. It's on Ilgauskas.
Well, you can see what's happened on that play. That little curl screen that Rip Hamilton runs, they run him into a trap, and what happens now, the other big man, if he'll work underneath the basket, will be able to find some easy openings. So it comes off Weber right there into a trap, and just watch Rip Hamilton on the move, and they're going to soft trap him. Watch how the big man steps out. That means Wallace underneath the basket on the second pass will be open. It's that hockey assist that Flip Saunders just talked about his team has to make.
Game 4 in Cleveland for the first time of the series. Rasheed was not a major factor. 9 points, 5 rebounds. 0 for 3 from beyond that 3-point line, plus the technical late in the game. But he's had a strong series, and he has been the Pistons' best all-around player in their postseason run.
And especially the first 2 games here, Marv, he was definitely the MVP. His numbers he put up, how about his defense? 9 block shots in those first 2 games, only 3 total in the 2 games in Cleveland.
Pistons by 1. Good with the lead for Pavlovich, but it was off the mark. Try to toss the lob. Phillips. Through the foul on Gooden off that change of pace.
And you see they're trying to get out and run, maybe trying to get an early bucket in transition, but all that started because Detroit picked up in the backcourt, as you talked about, Doug. They picked up on the previous possession, full court. Cleveland ran that shot clock way down and ended up in a turnover by Gooden.
pass played by Gooden. They clear it out. Shot clock to 5. Rasheed Wallace has given the Pistons a 7-4 lead.
And when you see that one, you say, why don't you do that the whole game? I mean, that's unguardable. Just putting a body on Gooden and then fading away. That extension on the jump shot is just incredible.
James tried to get it to Ilgauskas as he was met by the double. Hughes with a catch and shoot for 3.
That's gravy right there. I mean, Larry Hughes is gutting this out. I mean, and they need him, I think, to start the game defensively on Billups, and he's really putting in some good minutes at the defensive end. But if he makes a jump shot, that's just gravy there.
The other night, only 16 minutes for Hughes. Got a Novocaine shot in that left foot. Start of the game. Phillips backing in and is fouled by Hughes. Larry Hughes suffering that partial tear of the left foot after taking a fall in the first quarter in Game 3.
And what this also does, too, Larry Hughes, they're very comfortable with him starting. And rather than throwing Daniel Gibson out on the fire as a starter in this game tonight, this Game 5, let him continue in the role, but he's playing so well. Like, you don't want to change up what he's been doing.
Hamilton. Rebounded by James. Tied at 7. Game 5 of this Eastern Conference final series. Hughes again for 3. So Larry Hughes, who was a question mark in terms of playing, in terms of starting, has hit 2 from downtown.
We talked about in the open how important it is for Cleveland to make jump shots just because it will open up the floor for LeBron. I don't think we expected Hughes to be the one making the perimeter shots, though.
Phillips gets inside.
Great screen that time by Rasheed Wallace. Just sort of came in behind Gooden, and when Chauncey beat his man, there was nobody there to help with the basket.
Gooden. You know, going back to the Pistons series against the Bulls over the last 8 games, nice pass, Phillips for Weber. The Pistons have not played as you'd expect. They have not been dominant. Perhaps their last good games, Game 2 and Game 6 against Chicago. But you talk about Game 2, that's over 3 weeks ago.
Well, and also, too, Marv, I think, look, the first couple rounds, the Detroit guards, as we see a nice drive here by James, and he'll get to the line. But, Marv, I think when you look at the first 2 playoff series that Detroit played, Orlando had small guards, and Detroit punished them. Chicago had small guards. That was the difference. You come into this Cleveland game, all of a sudden they're looking at Larry Hughes, Pavlovich. You come in with Eric Snow, he's strong, and I think those bigger guards have bothered Detroit's guards, and that's really the key to their offensive attack.
We did see some signs from Hamilton and Billups in Game 4. You can see the offensive problems. Detroit team that averaged 96 a game during the regular season.
And just to further Doug's point, I mean, one thing Detroit loves to do is get switches on the perimeter and then post up Tayshaun Prince with a guard. So, in that Chicago series, Prince is going against Gordon and Heinrich. Against Orlando, it was Jameer Nelson. So now all of a sudden you get the switch, but it's Pavlovich and LeBron James and Larry Hughes, and there's no real size advantage down there for Tayshaun.
Prince backing in. Weber not able to handle it. This time, he tried to convert on a putback, and that lead pass picked off by Prince. He has Hamilton. Detroit with a 1-point lead.
And this is the rule of thumb, is anytime you score off a turnover, keep your defense up the floor. Keep the pressure on. You don't want to fall back and let them just get into their offense.
And the double again on LeBron. Good. Yes. And he is complaining. He thought he took a hit prior to the shot.
That's his spot. I mean, he's really established that in this series, that little 15, 17-footer right on the baseline.
Just under 6 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Nice pass. And Weber with the finish and the foul.
That's one of those switches that cost Cleveland. They had Pavlovich in the post. Had to get a double team, and it's going to be a foul on LeBron, a possible 3-point play.
Well, for these two teams, that's an explosive start. Detroit 15, Cleveland 14 right here. Time for the Gatorade Around the Cooler report. Let's go to Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Marv, explosive starts is what LeBron James had games 3 and 4 in Cleveland when he arrived at the arena 3 hours ahead of time for an extensive workout. We're wondering what he would do here on the road. This afternoon at the shoot-around, he had an extra-long shooting session. Then he came on the second bus, which wasn't early. However, once he got here, instead of going to the training room for his stretching and massage, he came out and did his extensive shooting here as well. So although he is a superstar and been in the league a lot of times, well, he decided to change his routine and go with what has been working in games 3 and 4.
And he's been sensational in games 3 and 4. Tuesday night, 25 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds, 13 of the 25 in the fourth quarter. How about 5 for 5 from the line in the fourth quarter?
And the way he bounced back from all the criticism. Remember game 1 here, did not take the shot. Game 2 drove, no foul called. So he did not cash in on those 2 possessions. They go down 0-2, and he goes home and has those brilliant fourth quarter finishes.
Meanwhile, Chris Webber continues to have problems at the foul line, not able to complete a three-point play. And James out of bounds, unable to handle that pass on the turnover. The ball back to Detroit.
Little half-court trap there. That's something Flip Saunders talked about before the game. He said, we got to make baskets, get to the free throw line so that we can change up our defenses, get into our traps, our zones, try to throw Cleveland off balance a little bit, but you can only do it if you're making shots.
Third turnover committed here in the early going by the Cavs, and Wallace hits again. 6 points for Rasheed.
Well, we talked to Flip before the game, and I said, Flip, what would you like to see early? He said, I'd like to see a high field goal percentage early. They're over 50%. I'd like to see high assists, low turnover. They have 5 assists and no turnovers.
Pavlovich lost it, and now jump ball is indicated by Brock Garrison.
Detroit went right back to the half-court trap, and clearly 2 possessions in a row now where Cleveland is a little out of whack. And this series has been so close that this game or any game is going to come down to 1 or 2 possessions. So these are big plays here.
Well, if you force Pavlovich to be a primary ball handler against the trap, then you're taking away from Cleveland's offense. He's just not comfortable doing that.
Gauskas able to get it to Hughes, so the Cavaliers control. Shot clock to 7. Good. Crowd wanted to travel. Back comes Prince. Phillips. Hamilton got the step. Nice speed, and Wallace able to handle it.
Well, this match is Detroit's biggest lead of the series, 5 points, and right back to the half-court trap. You're starting to see Detroit get into a little groove here at both ends of the floor.
Gooden lost it, but it was deflected away. Last touch by Phillips.
Well, this is the Rasheed Wallace they hoped they would see tonight. The one we talked about that was so good in games 1 and 2. He's gotten off to a great start. He's made a nice pass out of the post to his partner Webber for a 3-point play. We've seen him post beautifully, slash to the offensive boards. 8 points here to get started tonight for Rasheed Wallace.
Pavlovich blocked by Webber and fouled. Webber committing his first.
That looked like a tough call. I mean, Pavlovich goes left, brings the ball back to his right, and then just shows it to Webber. And I think that little double clutch by Pavlovich at the end forced Webber to kind of readjust the block. Looked like he did get a piece of the hand.
Well, Pavlovich, they need him to play well tonight. With Gibson playing so well the other night, it was sort of glossed over. He was only 2 of 7 in that game for 5 points in 40 minutes. So he's one of their primary scorers out on that perimeter. So with Gibson playing so well, he sort of got a free pass the other night. They're going to need him here on the road tonight.
19-15, Detroit. Anderson Varejao getting set to come on for the Cavs. And the call away from the ball, it is on Pavlovich.
I think, is that the penalty now? It's 5 fouls, yeah. So shooting foul for Hamilton. And that's an area in this series that has been a bit of a struggle. Detroit, normally a very good free throw shooting team. But they are just at just over 70% for the series.
2 shots for Hamilton. Antonio McDyess has come on for Detroit. Reminder, Saturday right here on TNT. It's Game 6 of the Pistons and the Cavaliers. Coverage starting 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Monday right here on TNT, if necessary. Game 7 between the Cavs and the Pistons starting at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And then Thursday, June 7th on ABC, Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The winner between Cleveland and Detroit taking on the San Antonio Spurs, who wrapped things up last night against the Jazz. And they're headed to the finals for the 4th time the last 9 years. Hughes is turned back and fouled. 2 shots for Larry Hughes.
Well, Chris Webber's going to come over and help after that trap. Larry Hughes does the right thing. He cuts right to the hole, takes it strong. I guess Webber got him a little bit with the body because it looked clean up top.
Well, remember now, Detroit's big men try to block shots. So you want to take the ball into their chest. When you're playing against Cleveland's big men, they want to take charges. So you got to be aware of that and maybe pick your dribble up one dribble sooner. So it's 2 total different philosophies on the front line of these 2 big front lines, but they approach it a lot differently defensively.
Jason Maxiell checking in, replacing Chris Webber. Jason Maxiell, only 11 minutes the other night in Game 4. He was a huge factor back in Game 2 here in Detroit off the bench. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocked shots. Pass goes through the hands of Prince.
It's the first turnover for Detroit. 6 assists, just 1 turnover. So good start execution-wise as LeBron James drains the 18-footer.
So the Cavaliers now within 2. LeBron hitting 2 of his first 3 shots. He has 6 points. Cavaliers over the foul limit. Next foul for Detroit puts them over. And good. Call for the foul as Phillips trying to go right to left, and that'll put Chauncey at the line.
It's a smart play because he knows they're in the penalty, and he's going to take it right at Gooden's hip. And watch Gooden. This is something Cleveland's been doing all series, really jumping out hard at those guards. And the smart players in this league understand when the team's in the penalty, when it's not, when to take a little flop maybe, when to take the ball right into that body of the defender. Phillips gets 2 free throws out of it.
And Steve, you played early in your career with a guy who I thought was the master of that, Mark Price, who played for Cleveland. He would never do that, run into a defender like that until you got into the penalty, because he didn't want to waste not being able to go to the line. He's one of the best free throw shooters in NBA history.
Gooden's foul, his second, and takes a seat, replaced by Donyell Marshall. Chauncey Billups coming off that erratic game the other night. He did score 23 points, but only 5 in the second half. He had 5 more turnovers, questionable decisions in the 4th quarter, including that 3-point attempt that was out of the flow. And that ill-advised foul after the pass was intercepted by Drew Gooden. Marshall for 3. Hamilton bothered the shot. Hamilton ahead of the field. Hamilton able to leak out after closing out on Marshall.
Well, Marshall took that shot, and LeBron has got to get back and protect on that. Normally, he's a guy that likes to go to the board, so that's not his instincts, is to get back defensively like that and protect against that run out.
Hughes stripped by Billups. Cavaliers will take a timeout with just under 3 minutes remaining in the first, and a good start here by the Pistons.
No, let him run. 32. There, outside. I got my hands up. He's coming through. No, I know, but that time you didn't have your hands up. You had your hands. I did. I made sure, because I knew that's what he wanted to do. You had your hands into him. Difference between up and into him, okay?
I like the way Rip Hamilton spoke there to Bennett Salvatore. I thought this year Rip got a little out of character with the referees. He was getting way too many technical fouls. I remember I saw him late in the year, and I said, Rip, you're too good a player to get all those kind of technical fouls. He's done a much better job in the playoffs. The referees will listen to you talk to him like that.
He was among the leaders in that department, a dubious distinction. One on the shot clock, and it's waved off. Will not count, says the outside official, Ron Garrison. That was very close.
That was close. Not reviewable, however.
All right, here's another look.
Well, we can review it personally.
Yes.
Whoa, that was. Yeah, I think that's a good call. Looks like it's right on his fingertips, but you see what a difficult job the officials have. I mean, we'd have to look at that 4 or 5 times. That was awfully close.
It's amazing how they get those right so often. I mean, that was bang bang.
Lindsey Hunter has come on. So Hunter and Hamilton out of the backcourt. Hamilton coming up short, rebounded by Max Seal. And Daniel Gibson on the floor for the Cavaliers, coming off his terrific game. What a pass, Hunter to McDyess. That led to a collision between Marshall and Varja. They mix up defensively, and the Pistons now lead by 7.
Had their biggest lead of any game this year. They've gotten off to a good start, which is exactly what Flip Saunders wanted tonight.
Hunter lost control, and the ball carried out of bounds, so the ball back to Detroit.
Well, no coincidence that Lindsey Hunter is in the ball game early. I think it's mainly for defensive purposes. We saw him make the great pass on that screen roll, but this is about trying to slow down Daniel Gibson. I don't think Flip Saunders thought coming into this series that he'd have to put together a plan to slow down Gibson. But Lindsey Hunter, one of the best defenders on the ball, I think, of all time. And Gibson, they're going to pay close attention to him tonight.
Damon Jones has come on, the backcourt of Gibson and Jones. Gibson with a career-high 21 the other night. That's his first shot that was too strong. McDyess. James with the rebound. Here's Jones for 3. Damon Jones with the corner 3 to bring the Cavs within 4.
How about the game, how it opens up for LeBron James? You've got Gibson, Jones, and Marshall out there, their best three-point shooters. Gives him so much room to work. If you help, you find one of your best shooters, you get one to go down.
Max Seal. What a pass thrown by Tayshaun Prince.
And instant energy from Max Seal. We already saw an offensive rebound a couple of possessions ago, and you see how active he is against that defense.
Pistons 16 points in the paint. Cleveland 0. Varjo from James, and Varjo is taken down. James getting in the middle of it. The Cavaliers did not like that foul. See LeBron racing from the corner.
Meanwhile, the Cleveland bench, everybody on that bench being walled off by assistant coaches, security people, trainers. The group effort over there. Everybody watch that Phoenix series.
And let's see what the call is. Is it a flagrant?
I think it is. I thought I saw Ronnie Garrison come in and call a flagrant, and it should be, because he went after that neck area. You know, anytime you get to that spot, it's pretty much automatic, and LeBron just trying to come in and say, hey, you can't get away with that.
Now, remember the criticism last year when, in this series, Rasheed Wallace split open Ilgauskas' head. Nobody from Cleveland went to his defense. We saw it in the early playoffs where it happened, a hard foul by, I think was it Mikey Moore in the New Jersey series. LeBron went up and said that's not going to happen. You saw him tonight. So I think he's taken it to heart that if something like that happens to one of his teammates, he doesn't want to get in the fray and get thrown out, but at least show you're over there supporting your teammate.
There was a discussion between all 3 officials. Antonio McDyess called for a flagrant 2, and the discussion involving an ejection.
Flagrant 2.
McDyess has been thrown out.
That is shocking. And that's a huge blow for Detroit. Remember how good McDyess was last game, game 4. He was terrific, and he's one of the best Piston defenders on the front line in terms of the pick and roll with LeBron James. This is an enormous play here.
Well, what it does now, it puts the pressure on Chris Webber to play well tonight, because one of the luxuries that Flip Saunders had going to his bench. So Max Seal probably is going to get heavy minutes. And, this is so out of character for a guy like Antonio McDyess. You don't associate him with those kind of hard fouls.
And a technical foul was called on LeBron James, so Rip Hamilton able to hit the technical free throw.
See, to me, this is clearly a flagrant one. He comes over, he fouls him hard across that neck area. That's a flagrant one. I just don't think in Game 5 of the playoffs, in this kind of series, in any game actually, I don't think you can kick a guy out for that play. I don't agree with that.
The only thing, Steve, that you say in Game 5,
I qualified it, Marv. I said in any game. I mean, I don't understand. It's a physical game. I don't think he was trying to hurt him. I think he came over and fouled him. Anytime you get in that head neck area, you're going to get a flagrant. But usually it's flagrant 1. I don't know about flagrant 2 unless you really give a forearm or like a shiver.
Or if there's been some history in this series, the first 4 games where guys have gotten chippy and you've seen those kind of plays. Now we saw Webber get one the other night at technical when he went to the head after a play.
So the qualification is you would make that call, be it regular season.
I would make it any time.
Want to clear it up.
Thank you.
For you Steve Kerr bloggers out there. All right, here is James for 3, and it's an air ball. And LeBron hearing it from this crowd with 10 seconds to play in the first quarter. Pistons up by 6. A moment ago, Antonio McDyess hit with a flagrant 2 and ejected. LeBron James picked up a technical for rushing in the direction of Antonio McDyess.
And Chauncey Billups coming in on this possession to give them another offensive player. They took Max Seal out, so they've gone small. And they have 4 good offensive players on the floor here, along with Lindsey Hunter, to finish out this quarter.
And an adjustment on the clock. They added a second. Down to 4, 3, and a traveling violation. Calling Hamilton, the basket will not count.
Yeah, good call by Bob Delaney. Definitely shuffled his feet on that exchange, on that little spin dribble.
2.6 to go in the first. So that is the end of the first quarter with the Pistons up by 6.
Marv, when you look at that first quarter, other than McDyess being tossed out of the game, Detroit shot 55%. They had 9 assists, only 2 turnovers. And how about this? 16 points in the paint to none for the Cavaliers, 7 second chance points to none. So no easy points for Cleveland. All jump shots against that little trapping defense.
Wallace lost it. And a foul is called as Hunter and Jones went for the ball. It's on Damon Jones. Non-shooting foul, so the Pistons will put it in play. Detroit going with Wallace, Maxiel, and Prince up front. Phillips and Hunter at the guards.
Now with McDyess out, Flip Saunders may go with Dale Davis. He had talked about using Davis anyway, even with McDyess in the ballgame, just for his experience and his defense. So I would think eventually, as Maxiel gets fouled on the post-up, we'll see Webber come back into the ballgame, but we'll probably see Davis as well.
And also Dale Davis is their best screener. And there's a guy, Reggie Miller, sitting up there that's going to be doing the halftime here tonight that will attest for all the great screens. This guy used to set to free him up for those jump shots. We'd like to see him do the same thing for Rip Hamilton tonight. That's why another reason why Flip might put him in the game.
Dale Davis had that short run in game 1. Played well in 5 minutes of the first half. Came up with 5 points, 3 rebounds, but has not seen any action since then. Maxiel, not a good free throw shooter. Chris Webber picked up early fouls again. He is sitting down after collecting his second. Marv Albert, Doug Collins, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager working the sideline. Pistons with a 30-23 lead. It's game 5 of the best of 7 Eastern Conference Final. The series tied at 2. Pistons winning the first 2 games here at the Palace. And the Cavaliers winning in Cleveland games 3 and 4. So it's now a best of 3 in Detroit with 2 home games in that best of 3. James to the step back. Rebound comes to Hunter.
Another jump shot, getting nothing in the paint at all. Exactly what the Pistons want.
Hunter was bottled up. Good play by Gibson. And last touch by Gibson.
And again, Doug, something you touched on early in this game, that the pressure up the court from Detroit is starting to take its toll. And Chauncey Billups hounding Damon Jones all the way up to the front court, and Cleveland never able to get into any kind of flow on that possession.
Billups. James putting the move on Prince, and he's fouled. Prince called for the block. Mike Brown has James with Varjo and Marshall on the front line. He has Jones and Gibson at the guards. Prince with his second foul. Here's Carlos Delfino off the bench and replaces Tayshaun Prince.
I think when you look at Cleveland out there, really the only guy comfortable getting them in their offense is going to be LeBron James. You know, Damon Jones is not going to go against the kind of pressure, nor is Gibson. They're both going to play off the basketball.
And Varjo is fouled by Maxey. Anderson Varejao, very strong. Games 1 and 2 here in Detroit.
You look at those offensive rebounds. I think that's the key number for him, because he's not a skilled player at the offensive end, but he's an energy guy, and he's 1 and 2. He's all over the glass. We asked Mike Brown about it. He said one difference in games 3 and 4 was that Detroit was really reacting to him on the high screen and roll, and that's one of the reasons that Gibson and Gooden got so many outside shots. And Detroit really had to collapse on Varejao.
Pistons up by 5. Hunter able to beat Jones off the dribble. Strong move by Lindsey Hunter. 32-25 Pistons. Reach in foul as they try to trap Gibson. Foul on Hunter.
Well, Lindsey Hunter, you don't normally see him make these kind of moves. He's really more of a spot-up shooter at this stage of his career. He's out there for defense, but this is a beautiful drive. And again, whoever Damon Jones is playing or attacking him on the dribble.
The follow by LeBron James. Pistons with a 5-point lead. 2 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Hunter. Marshall had it knocked away and deflected out. Last touch by Hunter, who took a poke in the eye. And now Larry Hughes will check back in. Larry Hughes starting once again tonight, despite the injured left foot. And he comes out to provide a rest for LeBron James.
Let's keep our eye on him to see how mobile he is. The first time out the other night, he was pretty good. When he sat, he came back, he was a little stiff. He got off to a nice start in this game. Let's see if he can get himself loose once again.
Hughes hitting 2 from downtown at the start. And we saw the other night in Cleveland. Here's Varejao, lost the dribble. Cavs get back, but Phillips able to pop it, but will not count.
Looked like it was a foul on the drive, and before Billups pulled up, there was a call on a little bump, so Pistons will take it out on the side. Now, remember, the other night in Game 4 when LeBron James went to the bench, Cleveland made a really good push, and they were able to buy James 5-6 minutes of rest. Be interesting to see if this group, now on the road without LeBron, can have any offensive success.
Foul was called on Gibson, non-shooting foul. Chris Webber comes back on, so Billups and Delfino and Hamilton on the floor with Webber and Wallace. Hamilton changed his mind on that shot, recovered by Webber, and a foul against the Cavaliers. Foul on Ilgauskas.
Well, Webber might have lost some of that quickness and his ability to lead, but he still has great hands. I've always felt one of his great traits as a player was he had great hands for a big man. His soft hands, could handle the ball, great touch passing. That time the ball was up for grabs. He just took it away from Nogowskis.
Chris Webber just 21 of 43 at the line in the postseason, and 0 for 2 here tonight. He had that productive game 3, 15 points, 7 rebounds, but he has been in an offensive drought going back to the series against Chicago.
But I think the bigger concern for Flip Saunders is at the defensive end on those perimeter screen and rolls, because Webber just no longer has the foot speed to really get out and contain perimeter guys, especially someone like LeBron James.
And when Detroit made their push the other night, it was actually with Max Seal and McDyess in the game at that time.
Dice providing a lift in the third quarter. Ilgauskas backing Webber, and coming up short with that hook. Webber with a series of fakes, and the pass could not be handled. Too strong. David Jones setting up for 3. Rebounded by Wallace. David Jones with much time. Mike Brown likes to say he had a cup of coffee and a donut. Here's Webber. 35-27 Detroit.
It looks like Mike Brown's going to get a timeout. I think this is a scary little moment here for Cleveland, because with LeBron on the bench, it'll be very tough for this club to put up points.
Let's see what Cleveland gets out of this timeout, and let's see if Flip Saunders go to a zone so that they can't run the play. Maybe they just call. But, Steve, I'm with you right now. A little danger time for Cleveland. Detroit's really trying to make a push here going into halftime with a nice lead.
Here's Gibson. Draws the foul. He went at Wallace and felt the contact. So Wallace with his second, and Gibson to the line. He was 12 for 12 at the line in game 4.
Did this a couple of times in game 4, showing a lot of poise, a lot of savvy for a rookie player to learn how to use that body to draw contact. He knows that if he goes straight up, Rasheed Wallace blocks that shot.
Well, Mike Brown thought in the first 2 games of this series that his team went away from the shot blockers rather than going into them. That was not the case the other night. Cleveland went to the line 33 times, and you spoke of it. Gibson was 12 of 12, so they are now starting to try to get into the bodies of those shot blockers from Detroit.
35-29 Pistons. How about Chris Webber? Strong first half for Webber. Gibson facing a trap. Pavlovich. And Hughes resets. LeBron James sitting on the bench, getting a rest. Shot clock to 5. Good. Nice move by Drew Good.
That's only their 4th point in the paint. So we've talked about them being jump shooters tonight. Detroit has done the job with their traps. Normally Cleveland averages 40 points a game in the paint. Tonight only 4 so far.
Hughes with the steal. And pass telegraphed. Pavlovich. Larry Hughes making that play. First the steal, then the setup for Sasha Pavlovich.
Cleveland withstanding this little surge with LeBron on the bench. They get a couple of easy buckets, and now Flip Saunders is the one who's going to take the timeout.
Well, a steamy night here in the Motor City.
Steamy.
Steamy, hot and humid.
I would have gone with sticky, but
in the 90s earlier today. And in the crowd, Detroit native Anita Baker did a terrific job singing the national anthem. Bob Seger on hand, along with Kid Rock, who is a regular. We saw him in Cleveland.
Nice of the Pistons to wait to shoot until after we got all the celebrities in.
Shot clock down to 1. And it is a violation.
Well, Marv, I'm with Steve. You know, you come out of that timeout and you look at the numbers. The Pistons shooting 56%. They have 12 assists, only 4 turnovers. Out shooting Cleveland, outplaying them down, and Cleveland down only 4. Mike Brown has to be very happy right now that his team is where it is with with Detroit playing so efficiently on the offensive end.
Cleveland doing it without LeBron James. A long respite for LeBron. Here's Ilgauskas with the tip.
Well, I think these guys like playing against each other, particularly one-on-one on the post. Each guy, I think, has the ability to go around the other. And for Ilgauskas, the same type of move that we saw Weber make.
Oh, Weber from Hamilton. 11 points for Weber. He's the high man.
When Weber has struggled in this series, generally it's been with Gooden or maybe Varejao on him. He struggles with the speed and quickness, but with Ilgauskas, it's a matchup that I think he's very comfortable with.
Delfino with the steal off the deflection. And Seal gets inside. Pistons by 6 with just under 6 minutes to play in the first half. And Larry Hughes was trying to call for a timeout, but Kenneth Salvatore did not recognize it.
Back-to-back turnovers here by Cleveland. Let's take a look here. Larry Hughes, I don't know if he steps out of bounds or he just dribbles it out of bounds, so careless play.
Well, normally, Doug, when you make that little point towards the sidelines, the official knows exactly what you're talking about. He pointed twice, and Bennett did not give him the call.
Remember, Bennett was refereeing with Steve Nash against the Lakers in that situation. Remember last year in the playoffs twice when Nash dribbled on the sideline, thinking there was a timeout,
yep.
none was called twice. Nash coughed it up, went into overtime, and then Kobe hit the shot to win that game. So you better make sure that if you get the signal you want a timeout or somebody better call it.
But Detroit gives it back on a turnover. Ron James back on the floor, being played here by Carlos Delfino. Ilgauskas and the foul.
Cleveland's starting to get inside now. If you're Mike Brown, you've got to be happy about that. All of a sudden, your big men are getting in the paint, getting some scores. We've seen Big Z now get in there twice, get a tip in, this time an opportunity for a three-point play. And Cleveland just quietly hanging around. If Ilgauskas makes this free throw, they're down only 3.
Foul on Max Seal. 3-point play for Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
See, I think this is normally the time when Antonio McDyess would come back in for the final 5 minutes of the half for defensive purposes. You know, with LeBron back in the game especially, Detroit has to be aware of those high screen and rolls.
Foul committed by Hughes. So both teams are now over the foul limit. And with McDyess not available after being ejected back in the first quarter, Flip Saunders and the Pistons are fortunate that they're getting a good run here from Chris Webber.
And you know, when you think of the Cavaliers, the areas that they've been in so good all season long, look what they're down tonight on the average, almost 13 offensive rebounds tonight, only 3 second chance points down. Look at those points in the paint. So Detroit is trying to take away their strength, but Cleveland's not going anywhere right now.
Chauncey Billups now 1 of 3 at the line. And here is Dale Davis. Talked about him earlier. This is only his second appearance in this series. Played well in game 1 in a very brief stint in the first half. Detroit 42, Cleveland 38.
And they've been up the floor almost on every made field goal and free throw. They're staying in this little trap and just trying to make Cleveland freelance.
Holding foul, says Bob Delaney, and that'll be 2 shots. Both clubs are over the foul limit. Chauncey Billups looking puzzled about the call, which is on Dale Davis. Ilgauskas to the line. You can log on to TNT Overtime on NBA.com to see if the TNT studio team can make the American Idol cut. Go behind the scenes with Ernie and Kenny on their audition with American Idol star Melinda Doolittle during her surprise visit with the guys. TNT Overtime, the basketball broadband channel that is on all the time, only on NBA.com. So Melinda sang the national anthem the other night in Cleveland.
Sager being part of that band, I would think that he might want to get in those tryouts.
He was at a very high level.
He was into it. There was no question about that.
Ilgauskas with the last 7 points for the Cavaliers, who are now within 2. Phillips, 9 points for Phillips. He had 18 at the half the other night, but the Pistons are getting balanced scoring. Gibson is fouled, and once again with Cavaliers in the bonus. Hamilton on the foul, that's his second. So Gibson back to the free throw line, but we were talking about it earlier, the fact that, yes, as you see the balance scoring tonight, Chauncey was able to put up points in the first half, but it might have taken his teammates out of rhythm the other night.
I think much less frenzied than he was in Game 4. It was almost as if he and Rip Hamilton had something to prove. There was so much talk over a 2-day period of, boy, the guards are struggling. They need them to be stars. We even talked about it in the beginning of our telecast, and they came out like they had something to prove tonight. Like just much more balance, better pace than letting the game come to them.
Well, you look at it the other night, they had 42 points, but they took 37 shots. They were 15 for 37. There was no balance.
As Ilgauskas comes away with the rebound, Max Seal was pushed by Gooden, and the foul is called on Gooden.
It's becoming a free throw battle here. A lot of cheap fouls late in the quarter. Both teams in the penalty.
That's 3 on Gooden. Max Seal struggles at the line, only 53% during the regular season.
It's interesting. Drew Gooden has not played well in the Palace in the 2 games, and the guy who has played well is Varejao. He's in there now. He's he only has 3 points on the night, but his energy and activity, and he's such an energy guy. I thought he was too hyped up at home, and maybe being on the road, he settled down a little bit and to play a little bit more under control. But I thought in the game screen 4 he had 8 fouls and made some fouls away from the basket that I thought that hurt his team, and just didn't make the kind of plays he normally makes.
Jason Maxiell in his second NBA season out of the University of Cincinnati, and hitting his free throws tonight. That's 3 of 4 at the line for Maxiell. Pistons back to the 4-point lead. Delfino staying with James. Varejao tries to set the pick. And here's LeBron. Rebounded by Davis. Nice pickup on the dribble by Phillips as he backpedals to keep it alive. Here's Phillips for 3. Oh, Maxiell missed time. That would have been an explosion. However, the Pistons have the new shot clock.
Really controlling the glass again as he did in Game 4. It's 15-9 now, and Detroit doing a nice job at the offensive end on the glass as well.
Hamilton trying to get it down low to Davis.
That's one of those, you got to know your personnel, who you're throwing the ball to. Dale Davis had no chance to catch that ball. It was a blind pass. And, Rip has got to be a little bit more careful with that. Maybe Rasheed could have caught that ball, maybe a Weber, but Dale Davis never saw that one coming.
Rasheed Wallace makes his return, comes on for Jason Maxiell. Maxiell leaves with 7 points. Gibson and Hughes at the guards. James, Varejao, Ilgauskas up front. We're approaching 3 minutes to go in this first half. Here's James. Yes, and it counts. LeBron James with the floater, and he will head to the line. That's 10 points for LeBron.
You see that little 1-2-2 zone, 3-2 zone, and what they do is they come up and they have Ilgauskas screen the top man, and their whole thing is, can LeBron get in the paint? And if he gets in there, either look to score, or if the defense collapses, kick out to your shooters. That time, when he got the contact, he did the smart thing and finished up with a shot. Now he has a chance for a 3-point play.
Foul committed by Hamilton. That's 3 on Hamilton.
And the guards were not collapsing on LeBron. Normally, the guards pinch in at that foul line area. They force LeBron to give up the ball, but Hughes has already hit a couple of threes. Gibson obviously hot in Game 4, so that Detroit zone, the perimeter guys are a little more reluctant to come and pinch inside.
Lindsey Hunter has come on for Rip Hamilton. Tayshaun Prince is back. Prince, Wallace, and Davis up front. A 1-point Piston lead. Here's Hunter from 3. Rebounded by James. Now the Cavaliers have an opportunity to reclaim the lead. Version off a beautiful lead pass from James. Cavaliers lead by 1.
That's just LeBron James right there, attracting all kinds of attention. Rasheed Wallace was so worried about LeBron that he forgot to cover the basket.
Wallace with a nice feed. Prince with the bucket, but he stepped out.
Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills. With Cleveland being outscored in the third quarter of every game this series, Cavs coach Mike Brown says enough is enough. At halftime, instead of resting comfortably in the locker room, it'll be a furious 16 minutes. Here's what's going to happen. The two video coordinators, Bryant Moore and Steve Hexel, have been busy at work. They've been receiving messages from the Cavs bench through assistant Chris Gent. They are putting together a tape. When the 16 minutes of the halftime starts, the coaches will convene here. They will go through the tape. The players will meet in a separate room and have a players-only meeting discussing what they see on the floor. With 8 minutes to go on the clock, the two groups will convene. They will go over a pre-game scouting report and game plan. With 4 minutes to go on the clock, they are then ready to take the floor, and they are told to take it with a sense of urgency and a lot of aggression to get ready for the start of the third quarter. Mike Brown trying to change things up. Mark?
Craig with a little skit going here. You know?
Impressive.
I can hear the guys saying, all right, now get out of here.
We're trying to work.
Background. Yes.
He didn't mention the next part. Then Cleveland comes out, misses their first 6 shots, and Detroit takes over.
And Mike Brand runs out of timeout, and trying to get him in sync.
Hey, you're ruining the vignette here. Cavaliers with a 12-5 run the last 3 minutes since LeBron James made his return. Shot clock to 5. And here's James. Tips it home. LeBron on the follow. He has 13 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and a block.
And that was on the dribble against Lindsey Hunter. Maybe the best defensive player in the league in terms of containing the dribble. Right around him.
Wallace bothered by Ilgauskas on that shot attempt. Pistons have led by as many as 8. And the Cavaliers have taken a 3-point lead. Blocking foul charge to Hughes. That'll put Billups at the line. Foul on Hughes, his 3rd. And coming up on the T-Mobile halftime report, Ernie checking his watch, realizing that he's moments away. You see, he'll be working with that particular studio crew. Kenny Smith looking perplexed. Ernie, Charles, Kenny, and Reggie will have a look back at tonight's Game 5 between the Cavs and Pistons.
Young kids are more coachable than the crew that he works with.
I believe I saw some dissension. Kenny looked very upset. It's T-Mobile halftime report. 1:33 to go in this first half. Billups now 2 of 4 at the line. Chauncey Billups suffered an aggravated muscle in his thigh at the end of Game 4, but the Pistons say he is all right. Detroit with him, 1. Mike Brown going with Gibson at the point. Rookie out of Texas has been a major surprise in this Eastern Conference Final Series. Here's James. Now looking for a foul. They wanted a charge as Davis went down. Hunter pulling it back. Phillips looking to post on Gibson. And Phillips able to hit off the double pump.
He's in a nice rhythm tonight. You don't have that frenetic play that Steve talked about that we saw in Game 4, even though he scored 18. In a much better rhythm. 4 of 6 from the field, 4 of 6 from the line. He has 13 points, taking care of the ball and running his team's offense.
Al Davis now defending on LeBron James. Gibson had it slapped away and fouled. Hit on a reach-in by Billups. That's the first on Chauncey.
How about Gibson goes to the line 12 times the other night. He's going to go at least 6 times now here in the first half. Not a guy who you think of in terms of somebody who's going to get to the free throw line an awful lot. More of a spot-up shooter.
Only 38 free throws in 60 games during the regular season for Daniel Boobie Gibson. Says as a youngster growing up in Houston, his mom gave him the nickname because he was a little bit, he said, on the soft side. He said, when I was a little kid, I liked to play with a lot of the big guys, and I used to get beat up a lot. I'd always come home crying, and she called them Crybaby and Boobie. He said it all kind of ran together. Very self-effacing to relate the story,
yeah,
though.
and I'm sure Boobie's saying too much information, Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Cavaliers back to a 1-point lead. Hunter with the pass, and the foul is called. Maxiel took it to the rim, and he'll head back to the line.
Well, it's been a tough go for Detroit in terms of getting off to good starts. And Doug, you talked about this in our open. Can they put a little pressure on Cleveland? Well, they did. They got off to the nice early lead here, playing very well. But you look up at the scoreboard, they find themselves down a point. And look at the score, 51-50. I mean, this is an explosion for these two teams.
That foul called on Scott Pollard, who checked in just a moment ago, making his first appearance in this series. And how about Maxiel hitting his free throws? He is now 4 of 5 at the line. Scott Pollard, a one-time Detroit Piston. A little cameo for Scott, originally a first-round pick of Detroit back in 1997.
Who drafted him?
I was getting to that. It was Doug Collins who was part of the selection process. Scott played 5 years with Sacramento, 3 with Indiana, signed as a free agent by Cleveland, and was on the floor for a couple of seconds. We're final seconds, first half. Ron trying to shake off Hunter. And time runs out in the first half. Detroit led by as many as 8. Cleveland able to come back, and at halftime, in what has to be considered a extremely high-scoring game the way this series has gone, it's a 52-51 Detroit lead. LeBron James, 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. And as you see, Chauncey Billups, the high man for Detroit. Chris Webber, good first half with 11. Let's go to Craig and Chris Webber.
Well, Chris, obviously a different type of game with all these points going up there. 52-51, you're off to a good start. Talk a little bit about why you're so comfortable offensively.
Just getting touches.
Big incident late in that first quarter when we had the flagrant 2 called on Antonio McDyess. He was ejected. LeBron got a technical. How is that going to affect you guys in the second half, particularly with you having to play more minutes?
I welcome playing more minutes. That's what I want to do, but I don't want that at the hands of McDyess. Me and him are partners out here on the court, but I don't care about that. We're athletes. We're the best athletes in the world, along with the other sports, so we're in shape. Hopefully they'll quit flopping, and good hard fouls won't get called as flagrants.
Thanks a lot.
28 fouls called in the first half, but a lot of trips to that free throw line in the second quarter.
Yeah, it really kept Cleveland in the game. They were 18 of 20. And then I thought at the end of the first half there, Detroit started turning the ball over, 14 points off turnovers for Cleveland. So I think the foul line, the points off turnovers, kept them close.
And for Cleveland, Steve, it's the magical third quarter where they have had all kinds of difficulties. That goes back to the regular season, but in particular, in this series, they have struggled in the third quarter.
And this will be the first time they won't have a little cushion to work with. Detroit up for the first time at halftime in the entire series. So it's going to be interesting to see how Cleveland responds. Maybe they loosen up a little bit, knowing that they're not trying to protect the league, but the big thing is you look at the Dodge game summaries, they've got to develop some kind of a rhythm, get LeBron James moving, maybe off the ball, get some ball movement, and try to get some kind of a flow.
46% from the field for the Cavs on 15 of 33. James with 13 points, along with 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and Detroit 53%. And the high point man, Chauncey Billups with 13, and Chris Webber with 11. Let's go over to Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Mike Brown said they're getting far too many easy baskets. When Detroit's getting the ball in the middle, they're not sinking and filling, trying to help out from the backside. He said too many offensive rebounds as well for Detroit. They had 6 in the first half. As for the 1-2-2 trap that gave them so much problems at certain points in Game 4, he said they worked on that. They're ready to attack it. Whenever they see that trap, they're going full speed in attack mode.
It is Detroit ball as this third quarter gets underway. Billups and Hamilton in the backcourt with Wallace, Prince, and Webber up front. Here's Billups for 3. Chauncey Billups shooting very well. 5 for 7, 16 points.
I've felt like all series he's been sped up. I mean, Cleveland has really kind of pushed him to a point where he hasn't been his normal, reliable self. It looks like he's just a little more calm tonight, a little more at ease with his rhythm.
Pavlovich off the mark, but rebounded by Gooden.
One thing to watch here is where are Cleveland shots coming from? Are they all perimeter? That's what's gotten them in trouble in the past. So we're going to see what their shot selection looks like.
Here's Gooden. Rebounded by Billups.
Can't complain about the possession. A lot of ball movement. They end up with a wide open shot.
Prince from Webber and a foul. Nice setup from Webber. The foul on Hughes, and that's 4 on Hughes.
Well, once again, we've got a quick start here for Detroit, and that's been the theme of this entire series. Look at the numbers for Cleveland in the third quarter. Remember, that's 4 quarters combined, 33%, 4 assists per quarter, 4.5 turnovers. So it's just been a real struggle. And usually it's been Detroit's defense that has really caused a lot of that problem. They're picking up full court and taking Cleveland out of their comfort zone.
And Marv asked Mike Brown in the before the game, said, do you think it becomes psychological? He said, no, I don't think so. I disagree a little bit. I think it does. When you start feeling the pressure of making shots in the third quarter, you have open shots and you don't make them. You read the newspapers, you hear all that's going on about these third quarter struggles.
Particularly with the scrutiny that takes place during an Eastern Conference final, you may get away with people not realizing the third quarter problems during the regular season. Here's James trying to go glass. Good on the follow.
Well, that's what they've lived on all season long. They were the #1 offensive rebounding team in the league at almost 13 a game. They averaged over 15 points a game, and they've been very quiet the last 3 ball games on the offensive boards.
Prince backing his way on Hughes. Hamilton for 3. Rebounded by Prince, and he puts it home. Well, Tayshaun Prince with a free throw a moment ago, and that's his first bucket of the night.
That's the problem with the double team coming from Ilgauskas. It takes away everybody's rebounding responsibilities because the defense is now scrambling on rotations.
Hughes passed out of 3, not able to hit the 2, and it's controlled by Hamilton. Prince from downtown. Tayshaun Prince, scoreless in the first half, has put up 6 points here the first 2.5 minutes of the third quarter. We're back at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Capacity crowd, 22,000 on hand. Earlier, our cameras picked up the Kid Rock sighting, Bob Seger. Well, from the world of sports, last year's NBA Rookie of the Year, Chris Paul of the Hornets. The Dominator, Detroit Red Wing goaltender Dominik Hasek. And there is Thomas Hitman Hearns. And Hall of Famer Chuck Daly, head coach of 2 Detroit Pistons championship teams.
Chuck, the originator of the Jordan rules. I wonder if he's thinking about maybe some LeBron rules here, watching the Pistons try to take care of LeBron James.
Well, Cleveland just 1 of 5 from the field here at the start of the third quarter. Detroit has come out and hit 3 of 4. Sparked by Keyshawn Prince.
Well, let's see if they can get something going to the basket. Maybe get to the foul line. Their only basket here has really been on a second chance rebound by Goodman.
Ilgauskas.
Very good. Get it in the paint. Get something easier. Get to the foul line. That's a nice play out of the timeout by Mike Brown.
Pistons 61, Cavaliers 55. This is game 5 of this best of 7 Eastern Conference final. They're tied at 2 apiece. Weber lost it. Mike Brown telling us that we have to be more aggressive when we come out in the third. And Ilgauskas looking for the shot through the foul. It is on Weber. That's 3 on Weber. Zydrunas will head to the line.
See, I like that move for Ilgauskas. He's relied so much on that little jump hook from the foul line area where he's been getting pushed out. And he's got to have that counter where he turns back to the baseline. And he's such a great free throw shooter that if he can draw Weber into the air, all he's got to do is throw his body into him. You'll see right here, Weber really waiting for that hook. There's the counter, a little pump fake, and just throw your body into him. Get the ball inside, get to the foul line, try to get some easy hoops, and that's the way to avoid those third quarter troubles.
Cavaliers 19 of 21 at the foul line. Ilgauskas hitting at all 4 of his attempts. 61-56 Detroit. Early third quarter. Prince with the step. Tayshaun Prince with 8 points all here in the third.
Well, that's the play they like to run to get that switch. And Larry Hughes with the foul trouble is not going to be able to handle him down there. They're going right to Prince, and he's the one that has it going now in the third quarter after struggling in the first half.
Shot clock down to 5. Ilgauskas. This is not pretty. Pavlovich fires. Nearly hit. Tayshaun Prince with the last 8 points for the Pistons. Now guarded by Pavlovich. And again, goes baseline, lost it, and last touch by Pavlovich.
I would go back to that same play they've been running, run the little screen roll, let Prince set the pick. If they switch it, then drop that ball in the post to him. It's been working for them here in this period.
Phillips for Prince. Rebounded by Prince. And he thought he was fouled. Shot clock down to 7. Gooden came up short. Cavaliers get back. Hamilton met by Pavlovich. Here's Hamilton.
A little deep on that attempt.
Yeah.
That's a play that Hamilton loves to make, but normally when the postman is down on the block, Weber really didn't have great position. That resulted in really a long attempt for Hamilton.
James off the mark, bothered from behind on that cut attempt. Wallace setting the screen. Weber. And James able to get to it. Opportunity here for the Cavaliers. Pistons have gone cold. Here's James. And he is fouled by Weber.
See, I like when he does that. You can't stop him. Once he gets that little step ahead of you, those shoulders in front of you, now you just go right through that big guy, and he's so strong, he has the ability to jump in, and watch him. He's going to create the contact here, and then he's going to hang and come down and almost get the three-point play. I mean, that takes superior upper body strength to be able to make a play like that.
That was 4 on Weber. He is replaced by Jason Axiel. And here's where the departure of Antonio McDyess hurts the Pistons. with Saunders now going with combinations of Maxfield and Dale Davis for Chris Webber.
And interesting, Rasheed Wallace also goes to the bench. And this is normally a time when you'd expect Detroit to start to go into Wallace a little bit on the block. We saw some early activity from Rasheed offensively, but not much since. So look for Detroit to really rely on that perimeter trio of Prince, Billups, and Hamilton here offensively. Maybe Hamilton gets going on those curl screens.
Tony on the dice, ejected late in the first quarter for a flagrant 2 as he took down Anderson Varejao. Foul is called. It's in the Axis Bennett Salvatore. That's 3 on Ilgauskas. So Hamilton to the line. If Hamilton has been quiet, he has 7 points, but all came in the first quarter.
Well, you remember now in game 1, he was 11 of 21, had 24 points. 22 of those were in the first 3 quarters when the Pistons were really struggling. He kept them afloat. And then Billups and Rasheed Wallace combined for 19 of the 23 points in that fourth quarter when they won. And I think Pavlovich, and I've talked about this before, has done a good job of adjusting to the speed of Rip Hamilton. I thought it was a big culture change for him to go from Vince Carter in the New Jersey series to Rip Hamilton in game 1. I think he's got a little bit better handle on him defensively now.
Rip does have 5 assists, along with 9 points. 7-point lead for the Pistons. For the Cavaliers, this is their first trip to the conference finals in 15 years, only the 3rd time in franchise history after 1976 and 1992. Pavlovich for 3. Sasha Pavlovich hits from downtown to bring the Cavs within 4.
We're seeing tremendous resiliency by Cleveland. Looks like they're getting ready to get put onto the canvas, and they just keep fighting back.
Hamilton. Maxfield gets to it, slapped away. And here comes Hughes, but pulls it back. And then leads LeBron, but that pass to the...
You can put a guy at point guard. That doesn't mean he is a point guard. Larry Hughes, we've seen that several times in this series. Errant lob passes that just you don't have an angle for.
Phillips kicks it back out. Hamilton. Rebounded by Ilgauskas, and he is walloped by Davis.
See, now the big men from Cleveland can be very aggressive when Billups and Rip Hamilton come off screens, because Dale Davis and Max Seal really are only going to roll and catch dunks. So you can really show up big. It's the play that Steve, you were talking about the lob. It looked like his hand maybe went up there through the rim. That's how you split your fingers sometimes if that rim catches you. And very fortunate he was able to stay away from any kind of injury there that would have forced him to go out maybe with a laceration.
It's a 4-point Detroit lead. 5 minutes and 15 seconds to go in this third quarter. The Cavaliers, one of their better performances in the third. Offensive foul called on Ilgauskas. Called for the illegal screen.
That's always a concern on that little dribble handoff play. The big man has to be set. Otherwise, it's almost an automatic call from the officials.
That's 4 on Ilgauskas. He's replaced by Varejao.
Let's watch the left hip. Yeah, just a little bit. And not going to give the offense any advantage on that play.
Hughes playing with the 4 fouls. They clear it out for Tayshaun Prince. Defensive 3-second violation is called on the Cavaliers.
Well, Prince has had a lot of success now in the third quarter, just on that little post up or little clear out play. So now everybody on the weak side for Cleveland very aware of Prince's presence and his threat. And you just got to look at your feet. I mean, you just can't get caught 3 straight seconds in there.
Phillips not able to convert the technical. He's 4 of 7 at the line, and Rip Hamilton is 5 for 5. However,
now, normally those guys are like 89-90% free throw shooters. That's why in close games it's so hard to beat Detroit, because those guys have the ball in their hands and they're great free throw shooters.
Shot clock to 5. Phillips from way downtown.
That's a bad possession there. That's giving Cleveland every opportunity to hang around here right now.
James backing Prince. Heads inside off the spin and scores.
I've been saying it all series, that's where he can make the most improvement in his game. I mean, he's so big and strong, you can't keep him out of the lane, but he's got to develop a touch, putting it off the glass like he did there. If he gets that shot down, forget it.
Shot clock to 6. Prince got it inside. Davis gives it right back. Prince with a long three-point attempt.
See, the Detroit big men aren't a threat to scoring there, so they can be very aggressive on the perimeter right now. Make them throw that ball into the post.
And here's James for Varejao. Nicely done, and the game is tied at 65. Flip Saunders takes a timeout.
The score tied. Less than 4 minutes to play in the third quarter.
All right, Craig and Chris Webber sitting it out after picking up a fourth foul. The Cavaliers are on their way to their best third quarter of this series. They have outscored the Pistons now 14-3, led by Tayshaun Prince. Cavaliers opened up with a 9-2 run, but since then, I should say the Pistons opened up with a 9-2 run. Since then, the Cavs have outscored the Pistons 12-4, and the game is tied.
And Marv, I think you got to get this guy right back in the game. You've got to go to him. He got off to a very good start. Rasheed, he had 8 points since that point in time. He's been very quiet. He's been in and out of the game. I think he's the difference maker for this team. I think if he doesn't come alive here, they're going to be in for a dogfight down the stretch.
Daniel Gibson has checked in for the Cavs. Varejao coming over the top, called for the foul. Cavaliers' third team foul. Pistons have 4. Detroit with the backcourt of Phillips and Hamilton up front. Maxeel with Wallace and Prince. Gibson defending on Phillips. Hamilton able to spin away to free himself up.
Boy, that's a beautiful move. You know, there's so much length on Hamilton in this series, and you talk about it, Doug. Pavlovich doing a nice job. He's challenging Hamilton's shot, so he's got to start utilizing that pump fake a little bit more, I think.
Pistons for their first field goal in 5.5 minutes. Crowd wanted to travel on Gooden, and that shot way off. Phillips with the save, and he's fouled. Pushed by Gooden.
And you see LeBron James, he looks at him and he said, just shoot the jump shot. Don't drive in there and make it a more contested shot. This is what you teach young guys. Learn how to pivot. Look at Rip. He keeps that pivot foot down. There's 2 guys trapping him. And watch just what happens. He ends up splitting it right, steps right through him with a nice, easy shot. That's just a nice fundamental basketball play.
2.5 remaining in the third. Pistons with a 2-point lead. Phillips putting moves on Gibson. And a defensive 3 is called again against Cleveland.
Lack of attention to detail. Steve talked about it a while ago. You got to get in there and you know you got to get out. So there's no reason to be standing in that lane. The referees are watching, and especially anytime there's an isolation play. Phillips was isolated to go against Daniel Gibson, so the referees are going to be watching away from the basketball.
This time Rip Hamilton shot the free throw.
And here's the call here on Marshall. Just gets caught in the middle of the lane. And at some point, you just have to jump outside the lane. You can get right back in.
Varejao defending on Wallace. Prince digging and stops the reverse slam by Tayshaun Prince.
How's the wingspan? Oh my God. Did he get that all the way on the other side of the hoop?
10 points for Prince all here in the third quarter. Varejao rejected by Maxeel. Phillips to the fadeaway. And Varejao tips it to Marshall. Coming up on a minute to play in the third. Cavaliers trailing by 5. LeBron James setting things up. Shot clock to 5. James slapped out. Last touch by Wallace.
Well, Steve, you talked about the long arms. How about the ability also to have big hands and be able to palm this basketball and take it to the other side? Look at that. So it's an unbelievable advantage. You can palm the basketball. You have this huge wingspan, and you can take the ball to the other side of the rim and dunk the basketball. That was just a beautiful play by Tayshaun Prince.
Damon Jones back in, coming on for Sasha Pavlovic. Prince doing a good job on James. Off the head fake. Here's LeBron. 19 points for LeBron James, although he has not shot well. 7 of 19 from the field. Pistons now lead 70-67. Here's Wallace for 3. Rebounded by Marshall. And about a second and a half differential between the game clock and shot clock.
And if they use the clock right here, they're going to be down only 1 possession, or if they get a 3, possibly tied. So the third quarter goes by, and if they're going to be in this position, they're sitting well for the fourth quarter.
Gibson for 3, yes! With 1 second left in the third. That will not count. The Cavaliers with their best third quarter of this Eastern Conference Final Series.
Speaking, that was like the Showtime Lakers in the third quarter. I mean, 19 points. They finally won a quarter, and I think the key is, what you talked about, Doug, getting the ball inside. I mean, look at these shots. They made 5 hoops in the lane area. They also got to the free throw line. So the key was not settling for outside jumpers. They got good ball movement. It was a much better quarter. They played with good confidence. And they're in a position now where, they've got this crowd scared. I don't sense that the Pistons feel overly confident. Cleveland's in position right now to pull off the upset.
And, LeBron James said in games 3 and 4, keep me close in the fourth quarter and I'll find a way to win the game. And these are the kind of games that superstars take over on the road. And again, I'm going to get back to the Detroit Pistons in games 1 and 2. Rasheed Wallace was so good in the fourth quarters. They need him now. He was 3 for 4 in the first quarter, 8 points since then, 0 for 3. He's not scored.
And remember, these two teams met in the Eastern Conference semifinals last year. Detroit won in 7. The tip by Varejao. And the Cavaliers have taken a 2-point lead, but in that series, Detroit won the first 2 games easily. Cleveland won the next 3, including game 5 here at the Palace, and then Detroit pulled it out by winning games 6 and 7 to take the series. Shot clock to 5. Hunter, who just checked back in, got the step. Crowd wanted a goaltend on Varejao.
Well, Mark, to get back to your point, we asked Flip Saunders, is this a better Cavs team this year or last year? He said, no question, this is a better team. They were better in the regular season. They're more solid, more experienced. And he knows his team's in a big fight here.
And how much time can they buy with LeBron James resting right now? Normally we've seen him play the entire second half, and these are the close games. And in games 1 and 2, Detroit found a way to win. In games 3 and 4, Detroit winning going into both fourth quarters. They lost those games, and the team that has won the fourth quarter in every game in the series has won the game.
A minute gone by here in the fourth. Ron James getting a rest. He's on the bench. Here's Hughes attempting a 3. A late whistle. He is fouled by Prince. Bob Delaney made the call on the release, and that'll be 3 free throws for Hughes.
Well, it looked to me like Prince got him on the arm. I mean, he was really crowding him, and this is something that we've seen called a lot more frequently this year than in the past. And he gets his hand, looks like he hits him right on the hand on the follow-through. Tough to tell know, whether it was a foul or not, I always felt as a shooter, if a guy hits your hand, how are you supposed to make the shot? When you hear this hands part of the ball stuff, I don't buy it. I mean, I think that's a foul.
These are big free throws here because, again, LeBron James is resting, and normally he has not had the ability to do this. We've seen him play most every second half all the way through. So if they can keep the lead, even build on the lead where he can come in and finish it.
Hughes, a 68% free throw shooter during the regular season. And Larry Hughes has given the Cavs more than they expected. He came out, hit the 2 threes early on. Once again, a question mark as to whether he would play. And only 1 of 3 at the line. Hughes has 9 points in 26 minutes, playing with 4 fouls. Cavaliers lead 73-70. They've scored the last 8 points. Wallace making the turn and fouled by Varejao. Let's check in with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Marv, during those 3 free throws by Larry Hughes, LeBron James stood up, started to go in. Mike Brown said, no, hold back, not yet, not yet, not yet. So LeBron biting his tongue and chewing his fingernails over there, waiting to get back into the game.
Well, that's quite a feat.
Yeah.
All at once.
Must be double jointed, which is possible with LeBron. Minute and a half gone by in the 4th. Wallace feeling for Varejao, able to beat him off the dribble.
Now, you see the emotion? I mean, that's what they need from him. And the emotion that's not over the edge. The emotion that takes him to that point, but where he can produce and be good for his team.
I think back to what Don Nelson said about the Warriors. You know, after they were eliminated from the playoffs, he says, we have to play with emotion or we're not any good, but we got to find a way to walk that line. Same case with Rasheed Wallace.
There's Gibson. Whoa, banks it home. What a beautiful shot by the rookie from Texas, Daniel Gibson. 11 points for Gibson. 3-point Cavalier lead. Game 6 of this series back in Cleveland on Saturday night of here on TNT. Shot clock to 3. Phillips from downtown, and the long rebound is handled by Ilgauskas.
Cleveland brought the double team. They don't want Wallace to get going. He's made 2 good moves in a row down on the post, so bring the double, be aggressive with it, force somebody else to make a shot.
But the confidence in the rookie rider, he's running this play that normally LeBron runs, and he steps up, he misses the shot, but they are confident having that ball in his hands.
Prince met by Hughes. Phillips guarded by Gibson. Weber spinning his way and hooks it home. Wow.
The mistake Ilgauskas made was he let Weber get back to that right hand. You know Weber doesn't want to finish with his left, doesn't have a left-handed hook, so Ilgauskas slid over too far and allowed Weber to get to the right hand. My question tonight, my refreshing thought is, who's the only NBA player in history to win an NBA championship before the age of 23 and average 20-plus points in the regular season?
Dougie always ties it together. There's always education involved.
Yeah,
here.
and there's got to be something with this guy going, oh, there we go.
Kobe Bryant.
You know he's been in the media, so I figured Steve was going somewhere with that.
I'm wondering what Kobe's been up to. I'm probably enjoying a nice summer vacation, maybe getting
Very
ready
quiet.
for next year.
Yeah.
Haven't heard much from him.
8:40 to go in the 4th quarter. LeBron James back on the floor. Mike Brown taking that timeout in order to reinsert LeBron. Here's Ilgauskas. Yes, and the foul. A strong move by Zydrunas Ilgauskas. If it's Weber, it's number 5.
Well, this is the move that he likes to make. We saw the counter fading away. This one he likes to come across, and I can't remember when he started shooting that shot one-handed, where he took the left hand off the ball, but he's been doing that like the last couple years. I don't know if it gives him more extension to get away from the defense, but the one-handed sort of a subway hook.
And it is number 5 on Weber. Do you say a
Oh, you did the sky hook with Green. That was a subway
I
hook. That's
see.
coming from.
Very good. So Chris Webber playing with the 5 fouls. Antonio McDyess ejected late first quarter. And the tip by Webber. So Cliff Saunders staying with Webber. He's been bringing on Jason Maxiell and Dale Davis, and apparently he will stay with Webber. He looked down the bench and then changed his mind. Wallace all over Ilgauskas. Ilgauskas crashing with teammate Anderson Varejao.
That was a 4-5 pick and roll right there. Varejao came over and screened Rashid.
Pick and fall, I think. It wasn't much of a roll.
Sure didn't look like Phoenix's play, no. That's for sure.
Cavaliers up by 3. Ilgauskas 6 of 8 from the field. He has 16 points. Shot clock to 5. There's Prince. Just didn't get it off on time. Webber not able to come through with the tip. He thought he was fouled.
I thought he was fouled. That's the second time they've gone to that little play to get the switch on Prince. And Gibson again doing a nice job, although Cleveland is bringing a double team.
The steal by Wallace. And Phillips is fouled. Fouled by Gibson. A good foul with Phillips on the move. Let's check in with Craig.
Well, Marv, the question was raised, is there a possible one-game suspension for Antonio McDyess for that flagrant 2 foul he picked up in that first half? Stu Jackson, Senior Vice President of Basketball Operations, is here. I talked to him a moment ago and asked him for his thoughts. He goes, I need to review the replays more, have a better decision tomorrow. I will be on a 7 a.m. flight to Orlando for the NBA pre-draft camp. I will look at the tape, talk to my staff, and I will make a decision tomorrow afternoon, but there is a chance he could be suspended. Mark.
All right, Craig, here's Hamilton. Rip Hamilton brings the Pistons within 1.
Now, remember in the fourth quarter the other night when they played Daniel Gibson on Rip Hamilton, he took his time, got to the shooting area, jumped over him. That's exactly what he did the first possession coming off the bench there.
Ilgauskas. Phillips reaching for it, and he is fouled. That is not a good foul as Gibson tripped up Phillips. That's 3 on Gibson, and the Cavaliers with their third team foul, a non-shooting affair. 6.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Detroit down by 1. Hamilton, he felt some contact. And can't believe that he did not get the call. James, yes.
Well, we saw Mike Brown, as soon as the change of possession occurred, he was waving his team up the floor. He said, get it up there. I think both clubs need to do that because these two defenses are too good in the half court. I think it would be good for both clubs to really push the ball and try to get early offense.
21 points for LeBron James, along with 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Webber. Back tap. Good job by Prince. Hamilton with an opening. And he is fouled. He and Varejao involved in that collision. The foul is on Gibson. Number 4 on Gibson.
Well, LeBron James' fourth quarters have sort of been a tale of two different cities. You see the 2 games in Detroit really struggled, only 7 points. Remember game 1, the criticism for not taking the last shot. In game 2, he did. They thought there was a contact not called. So you can see what his numbers, not the case in games 3 and 4. He took over in both of those games. Tonight, he's sitting on 19 points after the third quarter. He's 1 for 1 here. 5 minutes and 28 seconds to go. He's the best individual player on the floor. Let's see if he has the ability to give his team a 3-2 lead going back to Cleveland.
Well, and he did get the first 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the bench to rest. And you said something during the break, Doug. Cleveland does look fresher right now. They're a little more athletic, obviously, with LeBron, but they look a little bouncier. Detroit maybe a little tired. I mean, this has been a difficult week for them, losing a couple of games. They lose McDyess. Their big men have had to play a lot of minutes. Wallace has not had his game going, so not much of a bounce to the step with the Detroit Pistons.
And this is 5 straight years they have gone to the conference finals or beyond to the finals, so they've played a lot of games over the last 5 seasons.
Cavaliers now lead at 81-80 as we come up on 5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Here's James, turned back by Wallace. Rasheed Wallace saw the rejection of LeBron James. Call made away from the ball against the Cavaliers. It is on Pavlovich, and the Cavs are over the limit.
Well, LeBron James takes this ball right into the teeth of the defense, and this is a terrific. Well, looked like he brought the left wrist as he was coming down, but the good block was called. And remember now, in the first 2 games of this series in Detroit, Rasheed had 9 block shots. He was the back line of that defense, only 3 in the 2 games in Cleveland. So they're going to need him to protect the basket.
Hamilton, 9 for 9 at the line.
That was a blocked wrist right there. I don't even think he touched the ball, so LeBron had every right to complain.
What is impressive about the Pistons here tonight, Chauncey Billups, who's had turnover problems, has not committed a turnover. And Detroit, with just 1 turnover in the second half, none the last 20 minutes of play, and they have taken an 82-81 lead. Just under 5 minutes left in the fourth.
Remember now, Detroit started trapping late in the fourth quarter of game 4.
Tip missed by Varejao, but Pavlovich is on it. Here's Pavlovich going glass. Offensive foul on Pavlovich.
Maybe a little rushed. I mean, this isn't really Pavlovich's game, but watch the off arm. He goes up. Prince, so long, you see Pavlovich using that left arm to fend off Prince. Good call by the officials.
Hamilton changed his mind. Wallace not able to put it down. But a foul call. It is on Ilgauskas. That's his 5th.
I like this substitution by Mike Brown, though. He's coming in with Drew Gooden. With Varejao on the floor, you get activity and some offensive rebounding. But with Drew Gooden out there, when LeBron penetrates, you got another spot-up shooter they can throw the ball to, either Pavlovich or Daniel Gibson. You got Ilgauskas that will shoot the open shot. So I think they need another offensive player on the floor right now.
Wallace at the line, a 77% free throw shooter during the regular season. He's hit his 2 earlier attempts. Game 6 of this Eastern Conference Final will take place back in Cleveland Saturday night. We'll have it for you right here on TNT starting 8 o'clock Eastern time. And if there's a Game 7, that'll be Monday night back at the Palace here in Detroit. And right here on TNT starting 8 o'clock Eastern time. Thursday, June 7th on ABC. It'll be Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The winner between the Cavs and Pistons will take on the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs concluding matters last night in convincing fashion against the Utah Jazz. 6-0 run here by Detroit, all 6 points on free throws. Gibson for 3. Didn't miss the tip. Handled by Phillips. Hamilton open. Yes. Mike Brown wants to talk it over. The Pistons have taken a 5-point lead. So Detroit taking command. They now lead at 86-81. As you see, just 3:45 left in the fourth.
They've gone to this little half-court trap now the last few possessions, and it's really kind of crossed up the Cleveland rhythm. You see the trap here now in the corner. Pavlovich in trouble.
And Maxfield comes away with it.
You've got to stay out of the trapping areas. The sideline corner, the worst place in the world you can pick up the basketball. There's no outlet over there.
Hamilton. Fouled by Gibson. Acting foul on Daniel Gibson. That'll put Hamilton back at the line. That's number 5 on Gibson.
This is what they went to the other night to get back in the game in the fourth quarter, recognizing Daniel Gibson is playing Rip Hamilton. He knows if he takes his time, he can get to the shooting area. We saw it the other night when he got a little bit warm in the fourth quarter. But tonight, not only is he making his shot, but he's getting to the line. Look at this, Marvin. One of the things we always talk about is the great free throw shooting of the Detroit Pistons guard and how that is so important in close games.
Rip Hamilton now 11 for 11. The Pistons have hit 26 of 33 at the line.
So I think against this half-court trap, rather than lag the ball back to LeBron, I might let him start it, give it up, and then get it back to him so he can attack. What's happening is they're lagging the ball to him. He's giving the ball up, and then they're not being able to get it back into his hands.
Well, they've got to get it to the middle of the floor. You talked about it. You can't get caught on the sidelines, particularly in the corners. So once it's lagged, you've got to get somebody coming right up the gut into the middle.
10 unanswered for the Pistons. 8 of the 10 scored by Hamilton. James to the crossover. It counts, and the foul. What a move by LeBron James.
Wow. Just pure power. This is what LeBron loves to do, attack, and then he will use his left when he goes off that left foot. He kind of goes, it looks like he's going to maybe try to reverse right-handed layup, but then he'll switch it back to the left hand, and he likes that little lefty scoop off that particular move.
Foul committed by Hamilton, his 4th. LeBron is 5 for 5 at the line. Pavlovich with the rebound. Marshall. Gooden off the fake. And is fouled by Maxfield. Nice ball fake by Gooden.
See, Rasheed Wallace, he remembers Drew Gooden making all those perimeter shots in Game 4, so he's got to react to that pump fake, and Gooden makes the right play, gets around Wallace. He's going to go to the line.
Time now for the Marines teamwork play of the game.
Well, Marv, I know you're enamored with the most recent NBA phrase, random offense.
Yes.
This is the ultimate in random offense. Anderson Varejao just kind of getting in the way and actually makes a good mistake. He ends up setting a pick without even trying to. Ilgauskas with the lay-in. I guess we'll call it teamwork.
Call it 4-5 blast.
Cavaliers have 2 timeouts remaining, 2 full. Detroit with 2 and a 20. Pistons have done it at the line here in the fourth quarter. It's primarily been Rip Hamilton. Detroit 8 of 8 at the line. Cleveland just 1 of 5 at the foul line. Gooden at the line for the first time tonight. Mentioned earlier how the Cavs have struggled during the regular season at the free throw stripe, but have picked it up in the postseason.
And when Detroit took this lead, it was at the foul line. They're 8 of 8 in this quarter, so the differential right now is that free throw line that we spoke about.
Two and a half remaining in the fourth quarter. Shot clock to 5. Here's Hamilton with the runner. Good rebound.
Well, Mike Brown went with Eric Snow to come into the game for defensive purposes, which slid Pavlovich over to Hamilton. I think he felt he had to get size on it.
Oh, LeBron James drills it from downtown to bring the Cavaliers within 1.
Why don't we just put 2 minutes on the clock and play? I mean, that's what it's come down to every game. Last possession.
26 points for James. Here's Phillips. Lost it. Back comes James. Wallace is back. James streaking, and he is fouled. Rasheed Wallace was turned around as LeBron put the speed on, and he will go to the line.
Well, interestingly enough, Eric Snow comes behind, knocks the ball out, and you cannot backpedal when you play against LeBron James. You have to sprint. Now he has to go to the line and see if he can make a couple free throws. How quick that lead is dissipated if he knocks both of these down.
James 5 of 6 at the line. The foul on Wallace is third, so both teams are now over the limit. And the Cavaliers are killing themselves at the foul line.
This is more like the team we saw in the regular season. Or the 29th, I think, in the NBA, and foul shooting about 70%.
Cavs are 2 of 8 at the line in this fourth quarter, and James misses both. This is after hitting all 5 of his free throw attempts in game 4 in the fourth quarter.
He had a lot of chance to put pressure on Detroit, put them down by 1, see what they were going to do under this kind of pressure.
And now you wonder, does he attack the rim late, in the last 2 minutes, having missed his last few?
Minute 40 left in the fourth. Detroit by 1. They double up on Wallace. Try to get it down low. Pass intended for Maxiell. And again, the Pistons turn it over. Pavlovich not even thinking about a shot.
How about Eric Snow? They bring him in and he gets 2 steals. The Pistons only had 1 turnover the entire second half.
Phillips on James. Shot clock to 5. There is good. A wide open shot from in close for good.
We've seen that shot all series. LeBron getting loaded up on defensively, just trying to pick the defense apart. Can't ask for much more than that. That little look from Drew Gooden.
Timeout is called by Detroit. Here we go again. Final minute, fourth quarter, 1-point game. Cavaliers have a full and a 20. Pistons with 2 20s. Both teams are over the foul limit.
Well, this is where the Pistons really miss Antonio McDyess as an offensive player, but we go through it and we can see the team that has won the fourth quarter has won each game. In Cleveland, it was the Cavaliers the last 2 tonight, 18-17. A lot of game to be played. Question, Marv, is coming out of this timeout, where's Detroit going to go offensively to try to get a hoop?
See, I think maybe if Snow hadn't come back into the ball game, you would have seen Rip Hamilton run off some screens. They like that matchup with Hamilton and Gibson, but Snow has changed the defensive dynamic of this game now. His size he's able to guard Chauncey Billups. That slides Pavlovich to Hamilton, and Pavlovich can bother Hamilton. So I think you go to Rasheed down on the block. That's usually what Detroit likes to do.
Pistons have 12 on the shot clock. Billups played by Snow. Down to 5 of the 24. Out of 3. Wallace lost it. And the call by Ron Garrettson, last touched by Rasheed Wallace. 3 consecutive turnovers by the Pistons.
And again, Marv, they'd only had 1 the entire second half. Eric Snow knocks 2 balls loose. That time it's Verjao with good hands. That's exactly where they went to Rasheed. Remember, he fronted him in game 2. He faked the foul and he fell down, and Rasheed hit that incredible shot to win game 2.
Another opportunity for the Cavaliers to take the lead. They're down by 1. Maxiell defending on James. LeBron with the step back stuffs. 89-88 Cleveland. Here's Billups for 3. Pistons 91. Cavaliers 89. Timeout Cleveland.
Lindsey Hunter in the ball game to guard LeBron James.
Down to 15 seconds. Down to 10. James with the step. And the game is tied at 91 with 9.5 to go in the fourth quarter, and the Pistons take a timeout.
LeBron James said that should have been an and one. He thought he got chested on that play, but you got to give LeBron James, I mean, a lot of credit. He misses 2 free throws, Steve. You wondered if he was going to go back to the basket. He goes back with a vengeance, back-to-back slam dunks.
And 4 guards on the floor for Detroit, because Hunter came into the game for defensive purposes, but that left 1 fewer big men on the floor. This was 2 possessions ago after the Maxiell switch, and that's why Flip Saunders decided to get Maxiell out of there. He felt like if there was going to be a switch, he wanted a guard on LeBron rather than a big man. But then what happens? Once he gets into the lane, no shot blocking there, and LeBron has his way.
30 points for LeBron James, 11 of the 30 here in the fourth quarter. The last 6 minutes of this fourth quarter, the Cavaliers with only 5 field goals, all 5 by LeBron.
Well, he said, get me to the fourth quarter with a chance to win, and I will win the game. We'll see. Game tied here. Can Detroit find a way to win this at the end?
9 and 5/10 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter.
Come back to 10.
Down to 3. Down to 2. Here's Phillips for the win. And we head to overtime.
Whoa, that ball missed by about an inch or two. And that was down, and it just rimmed out. This crowd was waiting to explode.
On the pregame, we were talking about how evenly matched this series has been when you look at the statistics. And coming into tonight, series tied at 2. How about tonight? Well, we're headed to overtime at 91 apiece. Cavaliers 31 field goals, Pistons 30. Look at free throw attempts. This game has been tied 9 times. 17 lead changes. Detroit did lead by as many as 8, and Cleveland at one point led by as many as 3.
Well, it looked like Detroit had pushed and got a nice cushion. And I thought LeBron, they were down 7. He drove in there and got a 3-point play opportunity that gave his team some hope. I thought it got them back and feeling they could win the game. And then the spectacular dunks. He hits a 3. I mean, he took over offensively, but Eric Snow, 2 steals, the defensive play on Chauncey Billups there at the end helped get his team into the final, this 5-minute overtime.
Cavaliers ended regulation on a 10-3 run to lead to this OT. And the Cavaliers control. Snow remains on the floor, along with Ilgauskas, Pavlovich, Marshall, and James. Here's LeBron, and he was fouled. Pistons claim he was not in the act of shooting, but Bennett Salvatore with the indication that it was a shot attempt.
Remember that good rest that LeBron got to start the fourth quarter? He's got very fresh legs right now. We're seeing a very bouncy guy getting to the lane. Looks like he's going to go to the line and shoot 2 here. Let's see if he can rediscover that free throw shooting touch.
And you wonder if that call wasn't a result of maybe LeBron complaining at the end about, hey, I got bumped. That should have been an and-one on the game-tying shot with 9 seconds left. You know, it's, you plant that seed in the official's mind, and you know you might get the next one.
Steve, with experience of working the officials.
Not that I ever went to the line, but I saw other people do it.
Foul was on Prince, his 4th, and this time LeBron hits on both, so the Cavaliers now lead at 93-91. 5-minute overtime session. Marv Albert with Doug Collins, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager. We're at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Wallace draws the foul and then lands on one of the photographers along the baseline. Foul is called on Gooden. That is his 5th, so 5 apiece on Gooden and Ilgauskas for Detroit. 5 on Weber, 5 on Hamilton.
So you really need Ilgauskas out there if you're going to have Eric Snow, because if Ilgauskas fouls out, you lose an offensive player, and then you have to come in with Verjao. Now you've got 2 guys out there that Detroit can sort of play off of. The only thing you would worry about with Verjao is getting to the offensive boards.
Correction, 4 on Hamilton. See the foul rundown. 5 apiece on Ilgauskas, Gibson, and Gooden.
I think now would be a good time for Flip Saunders to go back to that zone that has bothered Cleveland late in ball games earlier in this series. LeBron really has it going now. You've got Chris Webber on the floor, so Cleveland can put Webber in a screen and roll on the perimeter, and LeBron's rolling. He's getting to the basket. I think you got to change your defenses. That's your strength anyway if you're Detroit.
And you've got one less shooter out on the floor instead of Daniel Gibson. You've got Eric Snow for defense.
On a 6 of 6 at the line, and the game is tied at 93. Gooden comes out to set the screen. Pavlovich. And he's called for an offensive foul. He actually had nowhere to go. He was hoping to draw foul.
Very good move, though, by Flip Saunders to go back to this defense. Now you're going to make other guys make plays, because with LeBron at the top of the floor, they're trapping him. There's the play he calls him running over, so Detroit once again to the basketball and a chance to take the lead.
Wallace. And Pavlovich and Prince came together. Loose ball foul is called on Pavlovich. Non-shooting foul.
I think that may have been LeBron James. Yeah, the call was on LeBron. As Prince went up for that rebound, LeBron just got a little push on him just to knock him off balance.
It is the second on James. Here's Hamilton. Yes. 24 points for Rip Hamilton. Pistons lead 95-93. Here's James off the pass for Ilgauskas.
They took him off the ball at that time in a nice play. They put Eric Snow at the top and a little give and go that time. LeBron James with a beautiful cut.
34 for James. He scored 15 of the last 16 points for Cleveland. Wallace got the step and drew the foul.
Well, Doug, you talked about taking LeBron off the ball because sometimes the defense focuses so much on him that when he has the ball, it's easier to contain him. You take him off the ball, run him back door, all of a sudden there's not nearly as much attention paid to him. Beautiful pass from Ilgauskas. I like that. I'd like to see Cleveland do more of that.
Foul committed by Drew Gooden. That is number 6. So he has fouled out. 7 points, 6 rebounds for Gooden. Now Daniel Gibson checks back in, as does Anderson Varejao.
So it's sort of interesting when you bring Varejao in, you take Snow out because I think Mike Brown recognizes you got to have somebody out there that can shoot the ball. You don't want to have 2 guys that Detroit does not have to guard.
Wallace with his first miss after hitting for 6 at the line. Pistons by 1. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final. The series tied at 2. Game 6 back in Cleveland on Saturday night. And right here on TNT, 3 minutes to go in overtime. James met on the double. Shot clock to 5. Here's LeBron, and he is fouled.
LeBron's got to be very careful. No extracurricular activity. Remember, he's already picked up 1 technical. He's got to keep his cool. He and Rip Hamilton sort of bumped one another there at the end of this play. Watch LeBron now as he goes up strong. He's fouled. And watch at the end of the play here. Got to be very, very careful. Keep your cool now.
That was number 4 on Wallace. Game 7 of 10 at the line. Game is tied at 96. And Mike Brown doing some shuffling. Ilgauskas makes his return. So 16 of the last 17 Cleveland points scored by LeBron James.
Harvey grew up with this, a little Red Holzman offensive defensive substitution here, so you should be well aware of this.
I'm looking for Mike Weir to come out and give a foul. Just under 3 left in overtime. Wallace on the low block. Weber looks to save it and does. Another possession for the Pistons. Wallace for 3. Rebounded by Ilgauskas. Coming up on 2 minutes left in overtime.
You got your defensive players on the floor now, Varejao and Snow, so not nearly as much shooting.
Shot clock to 6. James. Wallace rebound.
See, that's why he had to settle for that shot. Detroit 5 players in the lane. They didn't have to bother to guard Snow or Varejao.
Prince met by Snow. They clear it out. Shot clock to 5. Prince. Phillips with the tip, and Pavlovich protects the rebound. Cavaliers take a timeout.
That's to get his offensive players on the court. Minute 37 to go. It's a big possession. You get a score, you get a chance to take the lead.
A minute 37 remaining in overtime. The game is tied at 96. It'll be Cleveland ball when we resume. But all LeBron, and I would think it will continue in that manner.
And I think you'll see Cleveland's offensive lineup back on the floor with Gibson and maybe Daniel Marshall. The problem there is if they don't score, you flip side, you go to the other way, and all of a sudden they don't have their best defensive players on the court.
And I think Flip Saunders would recognize that and not use a timeout. So he would say, just push it up and go. So this one, it gets fun from the coaching aspect of it, where you start, playing that little chess game.
Fun, did you say?
Fun.
Fun when you're the analyst.
Fun for me.
From the table here, fun.
Yeah, I wasn't having any fun sitting over there.
LeBron James has scored 16 of the last 17 Cavalier points. Coming up big again in the fourth quarter. He had 11 in the fourth. Shield jumping out, and LeBron tried that pass off the dribble for Varejao was cutting, and fortunately for the Cavaliers, it was deflected out of bounds by Detroit.
I personally would not have had the guts to throw that pass.
High-risk pass.
11 on the shot clock, and Gibson could not find anybody, so takes a timeout.
I never like my point guard throwing the ball in. He's too small to see over Tayshaun Prince. The most important thing in that situation is getting the ball in. Now you have to burn another timeout that is so precious. I like a guy with size that can make decisions throwing that ball in under pressure.
Now they only have one left, which could come into play, but you're right, tough to see over Tayshaun Prince, even if you're 6'6" or 6'7", but for Gibson about 6'2".
People don't realize one of the biggest things on throwing the ball in under pressure is having a guy that can read that defense, see over it, and have the composure, to know when that's to take that timeout. So let's see who throws the ball in on this possession. I would have to think it would be a bigger player.
And as you mentioned, Steve, Cavaliers down to one timeout. It's a 20. Detroit has a full and 2 20s. And now it'll be Pavlovich on the inbound. 11 on the shot clock. Gets it into Varejao. Phillips went down, and Flip Saunders looking for a pushing foul on James. Here's LeBron flipping it up and draws the foul. Pistons wanted a charge. Instead, James, who was shaken up and had nowhere to go with a couple of Pistons in front of him, but he'll head to the line for 2.
I love the fact that he's showing no fear in attacking the rim despite his free throw troubles, despite some of the criticism he's received in the past. You've got to continue to attack, put the pressure on the defense, even if you miss the free throws. I mean, you're still in good shape in this game, but you got to keep putting pressure on that Piston D.
You can see in the fourth quarter and overtime, Cleveland 5 of 13 from the line, Detroit 11 of 12. This is the play right there that they wanted to push off. No call in that situation, and then you drive the ball to the basket. Put the onus on the referees to make the call. That's the essence of plays at the end of the game. Referees love when you shoot jump shots, so they don't have to be in peril then of blowing the whistle.
LeBron is now 9 for 13 at the line, and the Cavaliers have a 1-point lead.
And the key here is rather than getting a bucket and being in transition, they go to the foul line. So now Mike Brown makes his defensive substitutions, and Cleveland in pretty good shape at the other end of the floor.
James hits both. 98-96. Cleveland with 1:15 left in overtime. Played by Pavlovich, trying to squeeze his way, and then flipped it to Prince. Prince guarded by James. LeBron did a good job, but The pass ends up in the backcourt. It's a violation. Tayshaun Prince under pressure from the defensive play of LeBron James and turned it over.
And the worst thing that happens to Detroit is now you bring your best offensive players. So the last two possessions have worked beautifully for Cleveland. You see that LeBron James does a nice job of bodying out Tayshaun Prince, and Eric Snow plays the passing lane. Bad pass.
I think that's been a huge theme of this series, Doug. Just the post defense of the perimeter players for Cleveland. Tayshaun Prince has not been able to get the same advantage that he had in that Chicago series and earlier against Orlando.
Down to 50 seconds left in overtime. Cleveland in possession, and they're up by 2. Here's the pick set by Varejao. Shot clock to 5. James has to fire and scores!
Oh my!
What a shot by LeBron James, off balance, shot clock running down. He had no angle and he drilled it. Cavaliers 1 timeout left. Pistons have 2. LeBron James, 39 points in all. He has scored the last 16 for Cleveland, 20 of his 39 in the fourth quarter and overtime. He scored 20 of the Cavs' last 21 points. Still lots of time left. 33.7 as you see that last shot by James to give Cleveland a 4-point lead. Still time left, but this has to be considered one of the great postseason performances of all time.
Eerily similar to the game they won here in regulation. They scored 101 points. LeBron had 41 in that game, and they came from behind by 9 in the fourth quarter to win.
Wallace draws the foul. It is on Varejao, so Rashid will shoot 2.
Well, that's important because he got the shot off with about a 6-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. So if he can make a couple here, Detroit does not have to foul. They can go back and make a stop and then set up a either game-tying or game-winning shot, perhaps.
Cavaliers are over the limit. Next foul by the Pistons will put them over.
How quiet is in here right now. These Pistons fans, knowing that if Detroit loses tonight, they might not see this team again this year. Now, I know they were in this position last year and they won and went and won Game 6, but very quiet here at the Palace.
Game 6 in Cleveland. Saturday night, 8 o'clock start, Eastern time, right here on TNT. Wallace hits both. The Cleveland lead is 2, and a timeout is called by the Cavs. And that is their final timeout.
I would not have used that timeout. What happens now if you get trapped or something goes, or what happens if Detroit scores, there's 2 or 3 seconds to go in the game, you can't move the ball. You're coming out of a timeout here. You should be able to relay to your team what you want to have to happen. That timeout should be in an emergency for you. You don't need it right there.
Well, and with the 2 free throws from Rasheed Wallace, you had a good 30, 45 seconds of time to tell your guards what you want to happen here, how you want to approach this. But I agree. I mean, if Detroit ties this game, at the end, you needed that timeout to advance the ball.
And we saw here both games, 1 and 2, they ran out of timeouts and could not move the ball late.
6-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock with 30 seconds remaining in overtime. Cleveland with a 2-point lead.
Expect this half-court trap.
Cavaliers using the clock. Down to 5 on the 24. Here's LeBron to the fadeaway. This one comes up short and carries out of bounds. So the Pistons get it back with 6 and 6/10 seconds to go in OT, and Detroit calls for time.
Well, Cleveland never had anything going in this possession. They just wanted to run the shot clock down and get the ball to LeBron. And in this case, you can always talk about, hey, attack the rim. Easier said than done, but that shot wasn't even close. You get conservative in these situations, and it can come back to haunt you. Plenty of time now for Detroit to come up with a game-tying or game-winning shot. We're talking about a very young team here in Cleveland, and I don't think they handled that last possession very well, or the timeout for that matter.
Pistons with Wallace, Prince, Weber up front, Phillips, and Hamilton at the guards. Phillips with an opportunity to win it at the end of regulation, but not able to hit on his jumper. 6.6 to go. Here is Phillips moving on Snow and hit on a reach-in.
And see, Mark, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If Phillips makes both of these free throws, they can't advance the ball. There's 3 seconds to go.
A good move by Phillips. Snow doesn't want to give up the 3, so he's going to play him tight. A little crossover, and then the reach in from LeBron. A couple of pressure free throws coming up for Chauncey Billups.
He's only 4 of 7 at the line, but an outstanding free throw shooter. 88% for the season. It's a 1-point Cavalier lead. 3.1 remaining in overtime.
Now, does LeBron try the same trick that Rip Hamilton tried on him and that he tried on Arenas? No, so far, nobody getting in Billups' face.
I would think, coming off what did take place, there's always the danger, although it's unlikely to be called, but it could be a technical foul. The game is tied. Marshall looks to inbound. And here is Snow from center court. We go to a second overtime.
That's just mismanaging timeouts. Now, I'm not saying they would have scored, but at least they would have had an opportunity.
Back in Detroit, heading to double overtime after Chauncey Billups hit 2 pressure free throws. And on the play, Cleveland did not have a timeout remaining, so they weren't going to be able to advance the ball. Watch what Tayshaun Prince does. LeBron tries a little spin move, and Prince stays right with him. That forces the ball into Eric Snow's hands. Cleveland never able to get anything as far as a good look at the hoop. So good job defensively by Prince, but again, it goes back to that, not having that timeout. Remember, they also called one when they couldn't get the ball inbounds underneath the hoop with about a minute to go. So the timeouts really hurt them.
So another 5-minute overtime session. The Cavaliers have never been involved in a double overtime game in their playoff history. And Detroit lost to the Nets in triple overtime several years back.
That was a game Chauncey Billups hit like a three-quarter court shot to send it in to the overtimes. That was the Brian Scalabrine game in New Jersey. They went on to win Game 6 in New Jersey, and they came back and won Game 7.
Cavaliers with the first possession of this second overtime. And as James makes his move, foul is called. LeBron in a discussion with Ron Garretson. If it's Hamilton, it's number 5, and it is.
It's been a long time since anybody but LeBron James has taken a shot for Cleveland. So, next time they touch the ball, there's going to be under pressure for somebody to be able to knock a shot down.
Prince defending on James. Goes to the step back and hits. That's 41 points for LeBron James, and he has scored 22 of the Cavaliers' last 23, including the last 18. Phillips fouled by Gibson. So Phillips on the drive was blocked. Gibson has fouled out.
Well, we're seeing LeBron do it every which way. We saw the dunks, the free throws. Now he's got the fadeaway going. He's got the complete repertoire working in his favor. And now how do you defend him?
Well, Daniel Gibson has just fouled out of the game, so Eric Snow will be in. So there'll be no substitutions now, offense, defense. It looks like Eric Snow's going to have to go all the way now play both ends of the floor, so you lose a shooter out there now for Cleveland.
And maybe you go back to that half-court trap or that 3-2 zone if you're Flip Saunders.
Gibson leads with 11 points. So he and Gooden have fouled out. Hamilton with the pass inside, and Varejao comes away with it. Cavaliers 102, the Pistons 100. A minute gone by in the second overtime. Pavlovich takes the shot blocked by Hamilton. Here's Pavlovich. Phillips with a 3-on-2 to Hamilton. The tip by Weber. The game is tied. Minute and a half gone by in the second overtime. They double up on James. Shot clock to 2-1. Pavlovich. Weber on the rebound, and he's fouled by Varejao.
Doug, you made a great point. I mean, it's been so long since anybody made a shot for Cleveland other than LeBron that it may come down to this. I mean, somebody's going to have to do something offensively because, especially with Gibson on the bench, you know, you're going to see everybody for Detroit running to LeBron, and you see what happens in transition after the block shot. So, you know, this is not a matchup that Cleveland's thrilled about.
And Damon Jones is in the game, maybe to make a shot, so you lose Snow's defense. Let's see if Hamilton goes at Damon Jones.
He does, and scores.
See, now you're in a bind because you need a shooter out on the floor. Daniel Gibson's a pretty good defender. He's out of the game. Snow's a good defender. They won't guard him.
Pistons 104, Cavaliers 102. Pavlovich. Wallace with the rebound.
Whoever Damon Jones guards, I'm assuming that's who they're going to go after. Now it's Tayshaun Prince to look to see if he will go after him.
Prince. Oh, he threw it away. Picked off James. Bringing it back for the Cavs, who trail by 2. Ilgauskas' pass deflected out of bounds.
It was an important deflection. Jones was going to have a wide open 3 in the corner.
The last time that a Cavalier was able to come up with a field goal, it was Zydrunas Ilgauskas with just under 8 minutes remaining in regulation. LeBron with the last 18 Cleveland points, and again he faces the trap. Shot clock to 6. Goes behind the back. And the game is tied at 104.
That's too good right there. That was an amazing move. I've never seen him make that behind the back dribble and pull up and shoot the ball like that.
And he's making shots going right also, which is not exactly his specialty. Much prefers to go left.
Hamilton. That was contested and deflected out. Last touch by the Cavaliers.
Which is behind the back. His left hand hanging in the air, knocking the shot down. Again, we'll go back to that time. He got a little bit of a rest starting the fourth quarter. And if Cleveland wins, it might be that little 3-4 minute segment that he got that has enabled him to have this kind of energy to finish the game. What it's like to be 22 again.
Coming up on 50 minutes of basketball. He has 43 points. He scored the last 20 for the Cavs, 24 of the last 25. Tayshaun Prince has to use a timeout to avoid a 5-second violation.
Well, I wasn't that way at 22. I don't care what you say. I don't feel anything like that.
A minute 35 left in the second overtime. Cavaliers have lost 2 players on fouls. Drew Gooden, Daniel Gibson. Several guys on both teams in foul trouble. You mentioned earlier, Doug, you thought the Pistons might have been getting tired. They've hung in pretty well.
They sure have. And you think about this, Marv, we're in a situation now where we're playing every other day. So there's not going to be a couple days rest. I mean, it's going to be a travel day tomorrow to Cleveland, although it's a short trip. play once again, and if there's a Game 7, a travel day, and right back at it again. So, I mean, this is going to be this game and possibly 2 other hard-fought games very close.
Are you all right? Steve looks like I think stamina's caught up to him.
I'm working on him. He's going to take a day off tomorrow.
He had the head on the table before. It was so embarrassing.
Just trying to gut it out, Marv. Well, the guy who I think could be most affected by the fatigue is Ilgauskas. Remember, he's had so many foot injuries in his career. He's older. Big men generally don't survive this kind of wear and tear as easily as guards do.
Shot clock is down to 5. Weber backing in. And as Weber makes his move, that counts, and the foul. He got the call on the continuation. The foul charged to Ilgauskas, and that is his 6th.
This is a big hoop. The clock was winding down, and Chris Webber did the smart thing when he heard the whistle. He just got it up in the air. Let's take a look at this. Never picked up his dribble once again. They said the push. Ilgauskas cannot believe it, and Webber now has a chance to give him a 3-point lead, albeit the fact that he has not shot free throw well. Tonight he is 1 of 3.
But it's been an enormous night for Chris Webber, who's had his difficulties this series. 19 points now on 9 of 13 shooting, along with 7 rebounds.
Well, this is why he came back to Detroit, Marv. It didn't end pretty for him there at the University of Michigan, all the stuff that he went through, and I think he felt like coming back here where he was a high school star. You already talked about him winning 3 straight state championships, that this could be a great way for him to end his career. Well, this maybe be the biggest basket he's had since he played in Sacramento in the playoffs.
1 of 3 at the line, and just under 50% of the line in the playoffs, but able to connect for a 3-point play and a 3-point Detroit lead. Down to a minute 20 left in the second overtime. Here's James for 3. Yes! And the game is tied at 107.
This is unbelievable. This is Jordan-esque.
46 points for LeBron James. He has scored the last 23 for the Cavaliers, 27 of the last 28. A remarkable performance by James. Hamilton. And rebounded by Pavlovich with 50 seconds to play in the second overtime.
And give Damon Jones credit.
And as James makes his move, the foul is called. It's up high. It's a non-shooting foul.
No, LeBron just, I mean, this is ridiculous. Some of these shots he's making, we kept saying after game 3, well, he's not going to keep making those fadeaway threes, but he is. He's got everything going tonight, tying the game. And then at the other end, we've talked an awful lot about Detroit picking on Damon Jones. Jones made a great defensive play there, staying in front of Hamilton and forcing the miss.
Foul on Phillips. They had a foul to give, so the next puts them over the limit. Down to 40 seconds left. Overtime number 2. Tied at 107. Varejao is rejected. Varejao is on the ball and gets it to Marshall. This is waved off, though. It's a 24-second violation.
What a great block by Rasheed Wallace from behind. Varejao tries to pump fake. And there are 2 Detroit Pistons underneath. Tayshaun Prince goes up, leaves his feet, but Rasheed Wallace from behind. 4-second differential here between game clock and shot clock. Actually 5 now. They put 1 more second back on the clock.
Pistons have a full and a 20 remaining. Cavaliers have a full and 2 20s. Phillips played by Snow. And directing traffic, Hamilton. Wallace comes up short. He thought he was fouled, and Marshall takes a timeout. Cleveland ball with 11 and 4/10 seconds to go in the second overtime.
I think we've gone from having a winner in this game to having a survivor. Somebody's just going to survive this game.
Guys are getting ready. They look a little anxious.
How about Lieutenant Charles Barkley is there? Look at Charles.
Coming up next right here on TNT, the award-winning Inside the NBA, Ernie, Charles, Kenny, and Reggie with a look back at what has been an incredible game. Here's another look at that last attempt by Rasheed Wallace. He thought he took a hit. Cavaliers able to get possession. They have it with 11.4 to go in the second overtime of the game, tied at 107.
Well, LeBron's going to get the ball at the top of the circle. Detroit's going to double team him. And Doug, you said it during the timeout. I mean, you got to make anybody but LeBron James hit a shot here.
Single coverage with Phillips on James, working it down. 5 seconds, 4, 3. James scores with 2.2 to go. The Cavaliers lead 109-107, and the Pistons call for time.
I'm shocked that someone didn't step in there and make him pass the ball. I mean, he got all the way to the rim and shot a layup. No double team, isolation. No one is stepping up. He just scissors right through him. I know a tremendous play, but somebody's got to step up and make him pass that ball.
48 points for LeBron James. He has scored the last 25 points for Cleveland. 29 of the last 30. He's hit the last 11 Cavalier field goals. This over 16 minutes of play, he has done all this, and I'm talking 29 of the last 30 points, since 6 minutes were left in regulation. And I said it before, this goes down, no matter what happens here, we still have 2.2 to go, as one of the all-time performances in NBA history.
And it's moved up, way up the list since the last time you said it, I guarantee you that.
LeBron's career high is 56. Prince will inbound. Phillips, can he get it off? He does. And the Cavaliers come away with an improbable victory here at the Palace. They take a 3-2 lead in this best-of-7 Eastern Conference final. And Rasheed Wallace, very fortunate that he does not receive a technical. Someone better get him off the court.
Yeah, there's still a game to be played in this series. He doesn't want to do anything to get suspended, Marv.
Now Wallace being ushered off by teammates and then under control, heads back to the locker room.
Looked like this shot was deflected and still almost went in. I don't know, did Varejao get a piece of that?
But it looked like he changed the rotation on that shot.
Well, again, Snow doesn't want to give up a 3, so he does the right thing. It looks like, a little deflection, and I think that forced the miss.
One of the great performances of all time in playoff history, authored by LeBron James. 48 points, we'll say it again. The last 25 for the Cavaliers, 29 of the last 30. He hit the last 11 Cleveland field goals. And he's with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, LeBron, I guess after a while you look at the replay of this game, but Marv Albert just said it's one of the greatest performances in NBA history. 48 points, the last 25. Lots of big baskets we can talk about, but talk about the game winner.
I just wanted to try to be aggressive. I wanted to try to get the last shot, but I kind of seen it was an opening, and I wanted to attack it, and I was able to get into the lane, avoid a couple of defenders, and get the ball up on the backboard.
What about the entire repertoire? Hitting the shots on the right-hand side, hitting that big 3. Just felt you had it tonight?
Well, yeah. Well, we played so hard tonight that I didn't want it to slip away. You know, we was down 3. They made a run in the second overtime, but I wanted to just try to step in there and make a big shot, and I was able to tie it up at 107.
Uncharacteristically, you had a rest at the start of the fourth quarter. I saw you go up to Coach Brown asking to go back in. He goes, not yet, not yet. Did that help you, and how tired are you now?
We got to win. I'm definitely exhausted, but I'm going to take the whole day tomorrow to get some rest, man. And this is a great performance by our team, and it wouldn't be possible if we didn't come out here and play hard as we did.
Obviously, you've had some great games. Nothing quite like this. This is one that starts legends. Did you know you were actually this good?
No. I'm just blessed, man. I thank God every day for giving me the athletic ability to go out there and perform like I did tonight. And
My teammates stuck it in there with me, and I've always told them if they can get me even close to trying to win the game, I'm going to try to do my best to do that, and we accomplished that tonight.
All right, last year, you're up 3-2, went home, and it slipped away. What is different this year? You have to close it out on Saturday.
Well, we know how big this is, and it's all about winning the championship. We was very excited about just being in the postseason last year, and this year we're a different team. We know that this team is not going to give up in Detroit, but we got one goal, and that's to make it to the finals.
Well, we echo Marv's sentiments. One of the greatest performances in NBA history. Congratulations.
All right, thanks, Craig.
Thank you, Marv.
All right, 51 minutes on the floor for LeBron James. He ends up 18 of 33, 10 of 14 at the line, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and the 48 points as the Cavaliers defeat the Pistons in double overtime, 109-107.